So I want to talk to the good guys for a second. You know the good guys. I'm a black activist. I'm working on the behalf of women. I'm doing this for immigrants, gays and lesbians alike. We've often allied. We've often helped each other. We've often fought the same masters for basic rights. But be warned that once you become in power, to use government as a bludgeon is as evil as the masters before you.
This is a certified hood classic.
Hey, Sakafet, what's up, everybody out there, to all corners of the world, to all my beautiful people. How's everybody doing this evening? I hope you have started your week out on a good note. Tonight we have a react, and tonight I have two special guests with me. I have Alpha Revert and Bronzebird. Gents, go ahead, introduce yourselves.
Oh, I'm just nothing much, man. I'm just Revert to Islam on there. Got a little channel, talk a little bit about my journey in IT and more things related to Islam. That's about it.
Awesome. Bronze.
It's Bronzebird Chieftain. You understand? Hanging out with the twin as usual. You know, it's about to be a deep, great conversation. Shout out to y'all. Support the twin. Support me, Bronzebird. I run the Brownstone Powwow nearly every weekend. content and stuff like that about any variety of topics, but it's important for us as men to have a great understanding on worldview. So that's the reason I'm here. So let's just run vids. Let's have fun. You know what I'm saying? Bronzeberg Chieftain with the twin. Let's go.
Absolutely, twin. Thank you for joining me tonight, as well as Alpha. Give me 1 second, gents, as we flip the screen over. And we're going to get this popping. All right. One more sec here. Yeah, do like that and get us going here. All right, fair use,
let's just
fair
jump
use.
right into this. Andrew Tate.
Long time.
I know, it's been a very long time.
Very long time.
Actually, I met you downstairs at the
shaking her hand.
Ritz.
Correct.
George and I were engaged at the time.
Yep.
And I probably was very swept up in George and barely got time to talk to you. But I do remember you being very polite. So it's interesting to fast forward to today and
And real quick here, how are we doing on volume, gents?
Are we straight on volume?
It was right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody out there in the chat, let me know if you can hear. Should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing.
you were very much in the UK circuit.
Yeah.
Now it seems like your celebrity is kind of really hitting the US market. They're kind of finding you for the first time, digging up a bunch of old clips, and there's a lot of pressure now on conservatives to say something really awful about you.
There seems to be a pressure on everybody on all sides to say something awful about me. I kind of feel like I've been placed in a position where there's always someone attacking me new each day. But I guess I was built for it because it doesn't bother me like it should, perhaps.
You seem to be doing pretty well given the circumstances.
I know the truth in my heart, and I know that what I say is the truth, and I understand very well the internet and how it works. And I also think I'm perspicacious enough to understand there's certainly a degree of weaponized virtue and perhaps a degree of jealousy and perhaps a few other things that are involved in all of these attacks. I don't believe that people who sit and attack somebody for their past, especially something from so long ago, are genuinely virtuous. I don't think it's about virtue. I think it's about, well, I can get some clicks this way, or I can get some views that way, or he did the biggest interview ever, or whatever it is. There's certainly some other motivations.
Got you.
And I don't want to say water off a duck's back. I don't want to come across as arrogant. However, I do believe that since the dawn of human time, every single king with any kind of empire was constantly at war. And I think if you're going to become one of the most famous people on the internet, you're going to be at war. And you'd be a fool to become massively influential and then cry about the fact that you end up in constant battles. It doesn't matter if you're Napoleon or Charlemagne or Genghis Khan. There's always someone prodding the edges of your empire, trying to find weakness, see what a little bit of land they can take. And I think it's always been the same. And right now, I guess you could say, to a degree, I certainly have an empire and I'm massively influential. And there's a degree of, I wouldn't say jealousy, but there's certainly some ambitious people who are trying to damage it. I think that's what it is.
So I did see a mashup clip that we're not going to show because I thought it was unfair. I will say that.
Yeah.
Only because there was no context provided to the clips. It was just an extract of something that you said that 10 years ago. Some of them were literally 10 years ago.
Yep.
Didn't know what year it was from, didn't know who you were talking to, didn't know what context it was. And I've been victimized online by something like that before, where somebody takes something abstract and says, well, this is what must be what she means, until they're provided the full context of the clip.
Yeah.
And I also take exception to, I think, digging back 10 years. I don't know who could survive that litmus test. I'm 34 years old today.
Yeah.
10 years.
Really quickly, it's always a tactic when you are in the public eye.
Mhm.
Even, my days of being involved with podcasts or whatever, people cherry pick so many damn times off of something you might have said and not even realizing your world views or your whatever it is that you're thinking is not the same as it is in the current time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I can vouch for Andrew Tate for what he's saying, and Candace Owens, because I even know with Candace Owens, she might have said something that was really out there in the past.
Yes,
but
sir.
It's just that's not her now. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Now, yes, and the thing too about that is what you see in the individual and how they grow, how they change, and what they're currently putting out in the universe too. because you can be somebody who said some foul shit in the past and you just continue to be somebody foul versus somebody who grows, or, you know, your view on something could be very staunch and, you know, you're not going to move and change your view on it. But once you do change your view, you know, how are you going to go about supporting what it is? Or, you know, what are your actual outward motions? And again, what energy are you putting out there? Because it can be easily, it can be a situation that you're easily just manipulating others by. So.
Yeah, but there's no I mean this in this time frame there's no money in seeing somebody's growth. It's all about clickbait. It's all about sound bites, you know. So, you know, that's also everybody clicks on. That's what everybody cares about. They just want to find a little list of business. It's all about breaking people down. Nobody really is into watching somebody's growth or how they have changed, or, you know, there's no room for that almost anymore.
Yeah, there's an undercurrent of that.
Years ago. Today, I speak to my audience. I talk about, they call me puritanical. I talk about, you know, not drinking.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change has been becoming a mother. And it would really be unfair if we went and found Candace at 24 years old, liberal, dancing at One Oak, and said, well, look at these clips of Candace Owens. Fortunately, I had no cameras in my face 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You somehow did. So I think it's a bit unfair. I also think that some of the critique that is coming your way is coming from people who are well-intentioned, like they actually don't perceive, maybe perhaps, okay, this is 10 years ago, what the context is, has he changed since? So I will ask the question, and we are gonna get into some of those clips. You said you're an open book. Yeah. How have you transformed? And I've seen changes just, I think, in the last 5 years.
Yep.
Who are you today? How have you transformed?
That's a very good question. It's also very important when you talk about Candace from 10 years ago. The idea that you did something 10 years ago, which you would no longer agree with, is one thing. But the second thing, to come along to the conclusion that you now have no value to add to the world would be massively unfair, right? Everybody changes, and that's fine.
And see, that's another piece too. Value to the world. If you're positioning yourself to where you are becoming a voice or a face of something that is of value to the world, you better be about your word. But I mean, like Alex said, like half the time all we're seeing are clout chasers. We're chasing, you know, people chasing the dollar, the biggest, the highest 1%.
It's all about getting views. It's all about getting the views on it. Nobody really, very few people want to actually, you know, there's not much value given on seeing somebody's development and growth.
No,
you know,
no, there's not.
Even him, I mean, Tate, you know, has grown dramatically. I mean, even Tyson, for instance, you know, what kind of a man he was when he was boxing to the man he is now, you know?
Oh yeah, before he was boxing, coming up in the streets all the way through.
Yeah, and there's almost, it just, everybody wants to push an agenda. So the easiest way to push an agenda is just clickbait and sound bites.
Mike got a fucked up life.
Yeah.
What's she talking about? No, sis, what are you talking about in the comments? Hold on a second. Let me fix this right quick. Boom. We can do that. And since we're up here...
Oh, shit. I just see it. Mrs. Squeeze Sunkiss is like really on the money with this. We're like, yo, these two, I know these two too well, yo.
She ain't no good, right? She knew.
Just doesn't care.
She came out fighting.
Should be called Mrs. Queen Stormkiss. God damn.
Right. Coming throwing punches. There we go. Do a little bit of something like that. That helps us out. We got the peoples on the screen now. I can still pop them up. There she goes. I'm talking to you. I'm talking about them two on the screen. Spiteful. All right, y'all, let's go.
I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit and apologize for his past. I believe all's well that ends well. I believe we're humans and we grow and we learn. I'd be a fool and I'd be disingenuous to sit here and pretend I was sorry for something I did in the past. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very honest to everyone at home. I've talked at length for a very long time about my history and the fact I used to run a webcam business, and I don't feel guilty for that. I know that's maybe what they want from me. I don't feel sorry for that. I've never hurt anybody. It has nothing to do with my current criminal case. Everybody who worked for me was very positive. In fact, my #1 supporter is currently online, and my best lifelong friends and some of the letters I got in jail were from people who worked for me at that time. And I had a business, and I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I feel guilty or I feel sorry for that. I'm from a low-income background. I did what I had to do to survive. And truthfully, all in all, being very honest, I don't think what I did was really that bad. And I want to say that, and I know people are going to lose their minds for it, but I didn't sell drugs. I didn't kill anybody. I mean, what did I do? I found a gap in the market, and I helped some people organize some accounts on an internet website. That's what I did. And they're going to try and criticize me and crucify me for the next 100 years because of it, because of clips that were made 10 years ago. I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think anyone actually really cares about the virtue of it, because nobody who was involved in my life back then is complaining about anything. I think it's just an attack on me. And certainly we learn and we grow and we change, but it's very interesting how hypocritical.
No, I think she's talking about now because of red pill content, and that his rhetoric is to say that he hates women. I mean, Andrew Tate has some agreeable points. You know what I mean? Oh, should have kept his ass locked up. Tough one.
You're always gonna find people that
It's
don't
bad.
like what you gotta say, regardless if it's true or not.
Right.
Some people just, especially if it somehow, touches a nerve because you know they're right and it affects you, they're gonna immediately latch onto it. It's like, if the shoe fits, just wear it and walk away.
Yep.
Critical the idea of looking at somebody's life over such a long period actually is. I mean, we can look at Donald Trump, right, who I'm a fan of. I guess I know you've had your ups and downs with him, but in the conservative sphere, he's pretty well respected. Donald Trump used to own the Miss Universe pageant. Are we going to criticize him? Are we going to crucify him? What about the girls he had in Miss Universe who decided to go on and do Playboy magazine? Is he a bad person now? Why? Now, that's not Christian values, right? People are messy, and life is messy, and nothing is completely clean. And this idea that you're going to find somebody and 10 or 11 years ago they did something which might even be slightly distasteful, not even illegal, and you're going to crucify him forever, I just don't believe that's genuine virtue. I think it's just an attack.
I do think what's happening right now is they are wrongly conflating you having run a webcam business, however long it was ago, to the criminal cases happening in Romania. And this is why I interjected in my voice when people were saying, he's not a conservative, he's not a Christian. I don't understand why Christians are giving him a platform.
And I'm very sorry to interrupt. I'm very sorry to interrupt you. But yeah, I will say right now, I would never consider myself a conservative from that standpoint.
Right.
I'm a rational actor. I'm a reasonable person. I'm intelligent. I use my brain. And I guess that makes me align with many conservative issues overall, because the other side have lost their minds.
Yeah.
I don't wake up and stand there as a conservative figure. I don't consider myself a conservative figure. I've just ended up aligning with them on a lot of core issues because I'm a forward-thinking, rational person. But I'm certainly not I don't stand up and say, hey, I'm a conservative. I'm not interested in whether the conservative want to embrace me from that perspective or not. I have no interest in that. I wasn't even particularly political until my recent debacle, where I realized a lot of things about the world and how avoiding politics will not save you, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's one of the things I pointed out. I said he's never said he was conservative. Why are we? He is not identifying as a Christian, so why are we suddenly using that as whether or not a Christian, a conservative, can put him on a platform and talk about something that is relevant? And something that is relevant is whether or not you are being wrongly or unfairly persecuted by a government.
Yeah.
I have spoken on my platform after examining the charges against Harvey Weinstein. He's clearly not a conservative. He's about as far left as it really gets.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I don't have an interest in whether or not he's guilty or not guilty, and whether or not he was persecuted because of a overtly political movement like Me Too. So I do not like that these things are being conflated, but I want to park that aside because we are going to get into your case and just stick with what you just said about the webcam business. So you say you don't have any guilt for it.
I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do, and I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn. And perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently, because hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
But every rapper sold drugs. Like, you get to a certain stage in your career where you
That's a blanket statement, but
no longer sell
yeah, I mean,
drugs, and you don't.
I mean, he's right. I mean, he was right about other
There-
things. You know, they prop up all these people. I mean, they've done way worse than everything from selling drugs. Their lyrics are, you know, they're propagating way worse things on it. They don't say a word on it because it's quote part of their culture or something.
when you're looking at top billers, maybe yes, possibly, probably, yeah, we know that, but not every rapper. But yes, I get it. I get it. And that's not racist. He's half, okay? He stands for the tan folks, the caramel people. That's not racist.
That's not racist.
It's only
the reggaeton, that's the same thing. That's the same thing, honey, and I don't
I'm
listen
trying to
it, you know.
understand this myself. Like, where is it coming being racist?
The reggaeton,
What are we
that's
doing?
the same thing, and I say the same thing.
I guess
about
because
all
he's
the
not
reggaeton
fully black, so it's like he can't get the same respect.
you don't
know
get
what
the
I'm
same
saying?
respect.
It's just can't do it.
He's a brown.
halfie.
He's a halfie. He's not even a brown. He's the caramel.
That's how you know it's serious when you put it in all caps. The IED gaff. That's when you know it's really serious. Like, put it in all caps so you can tell them.
I didn't know. I'm not looking at the chat, so I didn't know there was caps. Oh my goodness!
She's
If
getting
there's caps.
She's getting caps. She's throwing caps out. She's getting violent.
Again. The only reason people get on it because their feelings hurt because it touched a nerve that it fits them on it. They don't want the accountability on it. They don't want to put their shoes on and walk away from it. Just whatever. I don't.
Meow, meow,
Fifis, man.
meow.
Do it anymore, but that's part of the life journey, and life's messy, and I'm not going to sit here and apologize to any conservative who wants to sit me down and try and give me some moral high ground garbage. I'm not going to listen to it. I had a very rough upbringing, a very tough life, and it could have been so much worse in so many ways. I've done nothing illegal. I've never hurt anybody. Everybody who was involved in my life back then are massive supporters of me, and I think it's very hypocritical for someone to sit, look at a situation they were not involved in and don't understand, look at old clips taken out of context, and then tell me and a whole bunch of people who were in my life who were all perfectly happy that something bad happened and something wrong happened. I don't think that's genuine. And for that reason, I'm not going to sit and be preached to by these people who are imperfect themselves. Everybody's imperfect. And another thing that's really important, we talk about Christian values. I also think that I find it very interesting and ironic that I'm somehow the problem, and these Christians feel like they need to come and attack me now in the name of Christian values. I think Christianity has much bigger problems than Andrew Tate and some old clips. I think they have much bigger problems that are happening in their churches on a day.
Oops.
Ruth. They have some issues. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And
the beginning of Christianity, they've had problems.
And let's go talk about the sound of freedom and child trafficking and the fact that we've just allowed it to people, not we, because I'm not involved in their debauchery, but people have just allowed it to go on in their own backyards and then allowed it to go on with their children in their own backyards in parishes and churches for years. And they knew about it. These fuckers knew about it.
They never said anything about it. They let it go under wraps, and especially parents could have been involved in it as well, where they just added to the action in general. And nowadays it's a little bit, it's easier now for these people to get a hold on things because just off the record, we don't really talk about it, but we should talk about it. They're allowing their children to be on this app like TikTok and Instagram. And, I'm not saying that I'm looking like that, but they allow their children from a very young age to dress very provocatively and just be dancing and all this other stuff and just be like, oh, you know, that's my child and this, that, and the third. I'm like, you're leading your child into a gateway, man.
I put a
And
post.
then,
I put a
yeah.
post up on Facebook where I insulted baby daddies and told them that your whole legacy is basically a loss because your 20-year-old girl is doing that exact thing. And I got flame from old homies about it because, you know, people that were close to me, because they're like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not serious." But at the same time, I can swipe on Tinder and I'm looking at other niggas' 20-year-old daughters.
Yep.
That's somebody's, you know, that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's mom, that's somebody's sister. You know, it's
Well, yeah, man. Like they
It's
don't.
about-
It is these parents. You know, like I said, it's these parents that's not really understanding. You're creating that type of environment for your child. You may think, oh, it's just funny or it's entertainment and stuff like that. I said, okay, the pedos is not looking at it like that.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
And then especially if you talking about under Christian churches, you need celebrities you put up too.
Right.
I mean, look, I'm not saying I'm defending Andrew Tate because I don't know the case that well. I'm not ignorant to it. I
Right.
understand what happened.
Same.
But
Same.
you know, my thing about it is like, okay, allegedly he done it, but then like I look how many celebrities that's still out now that shit is basically under wraps. They're still able to operate, and they've been proudly sending these children to, namely, an island, Epstein, and all this other stuff. Did we ever sit up there
Facts.
and try to vilify them and sit up there and say what they're doing was disrespectful and messed up?
Why is
Innocent children that's just trying to mind their own business and go to school.
Why is his book super secret?
Thank you.
Why is Ghislaine under wraps? Why isn't she turned evidence on anybody? What levels of power are being held over top of her? So, but I mean, I didn't mean to go off on the tangent of that aspect of this. But at the same time, you have people that are throwing stones in fucking paper thin glass houses.
Daily. I think you can go to a Christian church in a lot of America and be very disappointed in what you've seen. I don't think I'm the problem with Christianity. And yeah, it's very interesting. But there was a webcam company, and I've talked about it at length on many different podcasts. I had a business. Many girls on there were perfectly fully clothed and would paint pictures or sing and dance and laugh. I've talked about this at length. I've had nothing to do with it for 10 or 11 years, and nobody was ever hurt. And I am not sorry for it. I don't see why I should be.
Okay. So the way that I read you, and you can definitely let me know if I'm wrong, obviously, because you are you, is that people that don't come from a lot, me and you, obviously, obviously have different decisions that lay before us in life than people that come from everything or people that come from a very stable household, two loving parents. And this kind of gets into the dilemma. I remember years ago, Tomi Lahren had said something, she's a political commentator in the US, had said something to the effect of, well, you know, Jay-Z used to sell crack. And he sort of laughed.
And he probably did.
And he did. And he sort of laughed this off. And I remember looking at that because I looked up to Jay-Z's music so much, you know, and I looked up to him because it made it possible for me to change my circumstances. You're looking at this guy who comes from nothing. He came from the projects. He sold drugs, and then he doesn't have to sell drugs anymore. And he's now talking about ideas and talking about business. So I was able to more closely understand and go, okay, I can actually climb out of these circumstances, even though I wasn't born, you know, with a ton of wealth and a lot of opportunities that some people were. And I think it's very difficult for people that don't come from nothing to
I thought she was an Ivy League warrior.
No, she got accepted into an Ivy League.
Okay.
No, she was poor.
Okay.
She studied, she went, and then she got really big into YouTube, and then got picked up by Daily Wire, something like that.
Okay.
It was through YouTube that she got huge on YouTube.
Well, damn. Miss Queen is going hard in the comments, yo. She is going hard in the paint.
Yeah,
she did sue the school for racism. That's true.
Wow.
Yeah, she did.
So, yeah.
But Tomi Lahren, like hearing that commentary she said about Jay-Z, I thought to myself, she's like a millennial Karen. So I was just sitting up there like, Tomi Lahren, that is such a weak ass argument. Like, we're talking about something he did in like the 1990s. Like, do we ever just refresh the idea? Homeboy, we seen Homeboy in the first video with Jazz O.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like
right.
on the beach, like they pretending they in Hawaii. Like, let's not forget that. The Hawaiian shirt with the shorts and the Jordan 4s. Like, come on, fam. Like, why are we still, you bringing up something from like 1990? You wasn't even born then.
Culture that, right. Culture that's not even relevant anymore. Like he that's like Jay-Z phase 1. He went through like 6 different phases after that.
Exactly. Like, did we almost forget he could have like retired back in 03? Like, Son came back with like the Black album and then American Gangster. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you figure it's a bit again when it's people that project, such as like political commentators that happen to be Karens, they need to reach for anything they could reach for. And I was like, with Tommy Lahren, I'm like, I'm not feeling that. Like, let's talk about the stuff you did. But like, are we going to say that about you now? No, because you probably changed and went to a new network and you're doing what you're doing. So it's not the same anymore.
Right, exactly. And they grasp onto them little tiny pieces of culture that they remember, that they think are still relevant to everybody else when we have this broader spectrum of everything that's happened in the history of culture.
Right. Like, that's just like them saying, oh, Bronsberg, you called a random panelist a bitch, or you just sat there, you trolled somebody. I said, yeah, I still troll, but does that mean that I was the same way when I first came on YouTube? No, it's not the same.
Right.
Like, relax.
People change. I mean, you're not gonna be the same person, you know, every single, like, you change, you evolve. Like, I'm a different person when I became a father. I'm a different person now than I was before, you know.
Absolutely.
People change, man. People
Absolutely.
grow.
Understand that, and they're so sure that if they were in desperate circumstances that they would still never do anything.
But this is their massive mistake. And you're right, but this is their massive mistake. The reason I have such huge affinity with the youth of the world today, especially the masculine youth, is one, because a lot of them are disenfranchised, which is one conversation. But two, also the reason my reach is so global, the reason I have so many fans in Slovenia and Southside Chicago, and I've had kids from Ulaanbaatar come up to me, Mongolia, all around the world, is because I speak to the disenfranchised, and part of that is always going to be, or is going to involve, financially disenfranchised. I'm someone who comes from absolutely nothing and made himself into something. And unfortunately, there's a rocky road sometimes, like you just described with Jay-Z, to get that done. But if I would have been born into a perfect family, like you said, 2 loving parents, family was rich, white picket fence, and I was saying all the same things, then they wouldn't have the same affinity. So if you look at even a lot of superheroes, you look at Batman, he's a flawed person. And I think the reason I'm seen as a hero and the reason I have the fan base I have is because to a degree I've always been a flawed person, and I'm not a perfect human and I don't want to be. And I think that that actually adds a lot of credibility to my character as a whole, that I've become the kind of person who believes he can add value to the world. And just like you said with Jay-Z, he changed. And the biggest thing for me personally, though, truthfully, and I want the whole world to understand this, I've been forensically analyzed by multiple different federal agencies from different countries for the last 17 months, analyzing every aspect of my entire life across the last 10 to 15 years. And what did they find? An old YouTube clip? That's the worst they could find. No sexual perversion, no drugs, no genuine criminal acts. They found something semi-immoral in a YouTube clip. And I would actually challenge anybody who wants to throw stones at me to go through the same level of scrutiny I have been under. And let's see what they find in your life. Because I guarantee anyone who's watching this right now, you sit there, you have a secret in your closet. You have a skeleton that you don't want anyone to know about, and they would have found it. So what's the worst thing that they found about me, considering I've been the most attacked man in the world for 17 months? An out-of-date YouTube clip? An out-of-context YouTube clip? Is that the worst? I think it's crazy that people aren't even sitting there and going, okay, this guy's been absolutely attacked and from every single angle, and this is the worst they could possibly drag up.
Right. No, I agree with you. So the question I would ask you, though, because obviously you've moved away from that business, the thing I find to be the most interesting about you is that younger boys love you.
Yes.
They absolutely, like the 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old. I have not come across a 12, 13-year-old boy who's not just an Andrew Tate stan.
Yeah.
And I think it's remarkable. It gives you a lot of power. And I think this is perhaps the interest that a lot of people have in you is, what are you going to do with this power, right? You have all of these boys, they believe in you, they stand up for you. And that is why it becomes important to state, I'm not.
So that was the part that put the fear of God in the matriarchy. That's what put the fear of God in the matriarchy. You had young men who didn't have positive images latching on to this guy.
They don't have any father figures.
They
That's
don't.
the main thing. They don't have any male father figures, and it's me.
And
I
that
have,
it.
I have a dad. I have uncles who were there for me. So
Mm-hmm.
quite positive male. Figure, but a lot of you, I see it at work.
Mm-hmm.
And they they talk to like Sean to like a buddy of mine. He's never had a dad on him, and he gravitates to me and some other supervisors. He's young. He's like 20, 22 on there. He texts me, we call, we talk on there. He tells me about things on it. He just doesn't have he didn't have a positive male figure. And for me, it's strange. There's
Yep.
so many young men don't have that.
And it's all relative, and it all depends on what kind of influence you are receiving from male figures in your life. Like I had a very, very, very solid group of influential men around me for probably till I was about 14, 15 years old. And then it was sporadic because my family split. Looking at it, I had a lot more than other people even had. But I may not have had that later in life preparing you for manhood interaction. You know what I'm saying? So there's these gaps even that we have as men that we can and do experience.
I'm gonna say this. I definitely do agree with you guys' points. I will also add the fact that this society is still, in my opinion, most of the time anti-men. Um, I've pretty much
Yeah.
understood that, regardless of my perception of someone like an Andrew Tate, it is a good thing that, you start to have a lot of the, men influencers out here who's able to change the conversation about the status quo. We're important because, the perception is, oh, men, the patriarchy and da-da-da, this, that, and the third, where we're sitting up there looking at life like man has to be known for his accomplishments and the things he do. He can't just be some attractive guy or whatever, blah blah blah, and just be able to get a woman or a man to be like, I'll give you $5,000 if you come through just for an appearance. Can't do that. You as a man, it's like your work ethic matters to the world. So if you don't do anything, you're gonna get more vilified for it than you are gonna get uplifted, even if you are trying to come up with a plan. So my thing is, at the end of the day, I respect the fact of the matter that you have dudes like Andrew Tate who might be out there. Like I said, I don't agree with everything he says, but just on the surface, that if it is one of those sort of things, dudes don't have a father figure, or better yet, they don't have a proper father guidance.
Yeah.
They find what they can find, and the internet is like a very interactive place. So yeah, take in what you can. Eat the meat, spit out the bones.
Yeah.
It's just a perception of what you take to it, and what is it that you believe in. So it's needed.
It's
As
needed.
much as I'm trying to tell myself, no, it's not. It's needed.
I was just gonna say that. Say that. And and the problem is, okay, like Fight Club. Have you both seen that? Yeah. Fight
The
Club.
movie.
Yeah. So you got
I have.
so you have the club, right? So let's say that the original message that Tyler passed was Tate, right? Let's say he was Tate. And then you have these subgroups, and you have that game of telephone going on. That's when it gets dangerous. When you have this game of telephone going on and the message becomes distilled and then idealized in somebody else's manner, and then distilled and then idealized in a radical, violent manner, and then idealized in a misogynistic, woman-hating manner, which isn't the message that Tate's bringing. So you have other people, the bad actors, that are distilling down this message, playing this fucked up game of telephone. Yeah, free top G, yeah, fuck all chicks. And the message has gotten distorted. What he's saying is not that necessarily. What he's saying is not, and not even in that extreme, but what he's, whatever the message is that people manipulate or distill down and pass along and add their own flavor to, that's when when anybody's message can be dangerous. That's when Trump got dangerous. That's when uber liberals following Biden get dangerous and be out here with the Wi-Fi passwords acting retarded. but yeah.
Not sorry that I lived this. I don't think I would say that I'm sorry for anything decisions that I made when I was young either, because this is the deck of hands that I was given. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do try to, now knowing that I have such a following of a lot of young ladies that follow me, say like, listen, I did the idiot stuff, so you don't have to.
Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And that's the thing that's so interesting, these out-of-date clips, and they want to talk about these things from 10 years ago. At the time when I was talking to the camera, those videos are made for private circulation initially. Secondly, I wasn't trying to educate the world on anything back then. I didn't have the kind of power and influence I have back then. The way you say something to a video which has 50 viewers has to be different than the way you say something to a video that has 50 million viewers. Power and responsibility absolutely go together, and I understand that very well, and I understand the power I have. And I do believe I'm now an absolute force for good in the world, and I'm far more careful with how I'll project myself with certain ideas. Absolutely agree, completely. But that's the thing that's even so crazy about all of it. These old videos that everyone's so concerned about wouldn't even circulate if my haters weren't constantly trying to use them against me. They'd be disappeared into the history of the internet. I don't know where these things come from. I don't know where they were found. I don't know where they are. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people are making all these constant attacks on me, and I don't watch a lot of it. I'll have to be honest with you, Candace. I don't watch all of it. But a lot of the videos are so outdated. The only reason they even exist now is because my haters are so desperate trying to take me down. They don't have any concern for them being seen because they wouldn't be circulating them otherwise. So yeah, absolutely. Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And I do believe that I now have a huge platform, and with young boys, they're exceptionally interested in my case. I do believe to a degree I'm an anti-hero. I do believe to a degree that the harder I'm attacked, the more credibility is given to me in the eyes of my fans. I think that they see, everyone's out to get this guy. Everyone was out to get Batman. This kind of feels that way. And I do try and lead everyone down a good path and say extremely positive things. And I don't think anybody is finding any clips from the last 5 to 6 years which have anything negative in them.
Right. I think you've changed. That's why I say over the last 5 years, I think there's been a seismic shift. And speaking to boys, the younger boys, I think one of the things that they're really suffering from, I get tons of responses rather unexpectedly whenever I talk about the topic of pornography on my show. And it's one of those things that, again, if you found Candace 10 years ago and you asked me about pornography, and by the way, this was actually implanted into my head from a health school, like from health education, where they would say pornography is healthy, people should watch pornography, people should engage in pornography, it's okay if you're in a relationship for you to watch pornography. And then I had a huge wake-up call when I spoke to Tim Ballard, he runs Operation Underground, and then I realized how closely pornography is related to human sex trafficking.
Real sex trafficking, not TikTok
real sex trafficking, and yeah, we should talk about that because they are kind of stretching the definition of sex trafficking. In your case,
Speaking of trafficking, I hate to segue a bit, but this just popped in my head. Did you see the video? It was in the news of the girl that was in a hotel begging for help, and the other woman walked in and dragged her out by her hair, and then this big ogre-looking dude yoked her up, and they tried to steal her back to continue trafficking this chick.
No, I didn't see it.
Bro, it blew my mind.
That shit sound crazy though.
Bro, it sounded like it looked like something out of a movie, out of like a Taken, bro. And the cops found her. Everything got, they figured it out in the end, whatever. Hopefully she's with the proper resources. But yeah, that blew my mind. And you know what? Like all this weird perverse shit is now in my news feed now because I've been looking at the Operation Underground Railroad and all the stuff about Sound of Freedom and yeah, man, like shit's crazy out here. And anybody who wears a tinfoil hat. What's that? I'm sorry.
I try not to give the algorithm any of that.
Man,
you just gonna get bombarded.
You gotta keep nuking your history, man.
Yeah, my history is it's very nerdy and geeky, and I keep it that way for a reason. Like unless you go to like another account to do research and then go back to your actual account. The real
world. Yeah. It doesn't have to do with that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it gets dark.
It gets ugly real quick. Tim Ballard, that's his name. I apologize, but yeah, Tim Ballard's a fucking national hero. I don't care what anybody says. All right, moving on.
Taking a look at it, and what's remarkable to me is the amount of young men, and I would say from the ages of 18 to 35 that write in and say how much they're struggling with porn, how much they're struggling with pornography addiction, how they feel that no person is talking about the ills of pornography. And so I just watched this clip of you this morning sitting next to Adam 22.
You were ever interested in doing your first ever double penetration scene that me and Lena, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like,
yo, dude,
would he be a suitable candidate? Would you,
Andrew Tate.
can I tap him
I
in?
don't know. No.
Well, there's abs-
hold
yeah,
on,
there's-
can I fill in real quick? Andrew, you know,
You're out. Aiden, we canceled you. You're not in this conversation anymore.
fair enough. Go ahead,
It
Andrew.
does.
Would you, Andrew, would you double penetrate her, bro? Would you do that, Andrew? Go ahead, finish the answer.
Bro, that dude ain't got no soul.
Who are you
There's
talking about?
absolutely 0% chance of that happening.
Who doesn't have no soul?
And it's not because of
That dude ain't got no soul, bro. He's just gonna toss his chick up like that.
Oh, Adam 22?
Yeah.
I mean, he already lost credibility. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a couple of people online that was like, oh, he's a cuck, he's this, that, and the third. It's just like, it's like Adam 22 to me, it's one of those sort of things like that's your decided fate and you're trying to make a joke off of it and just be like, oh no, because my wife and blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, bro, that's what you chose, you married. So the thing about it is we just don't look at you in a positive light, bro. But, you know, just be like, hey, would you just go ahead and do it? You know, we can obviously see that Adam Ross is just instigating and trolling the whole entire event. But, you know, nah, it's not. It's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
Lena is particularly unattractive, it's because she's married to Adam, and I have no interest in degenerate, pointless sex, and I have no interest in making a spectacle of myself or even just involving myself in anything which I deem to be overall haram and pointless. That's just not something I'd be interested in. There's not a single amount of money on the planet you could pay me to undertake. So
You were very polite. I'm not going to be so polite. I thought he was an absolute degenerate. And I mean that the idea of having a woman making the vows that you make in marriage and literally offering her body as he did to you was a form of degeneracy. And you were being very nice and measured. And I think that for that moment, that was the best thing that you possibly could have done because she looked quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
Lena, I think is her name.
Yeah.
But how do you reconcile that now, right? You're in a
disgusting.
circumstance like this. You're being polite. You did say I'm
Pause it real
uncomfortable. You
quick.
did say that I would never do this. And I think if that was
Yeah.
So this is the whole entire thing on it. First of all, this thought just got in my head. Like, imagine Adam 22 saying, "Yo, you want to smash my wife, bro?" And then it's just like, I'm just getting that weird like thought in my head, like why, like, but it's like leaning the plug because that's where she comes from, right? Like, she's already known for being very sexual and already like putting herself out there with saying she has no problem with it, like. The problem and the ill wills of linking up with someone like Adam 22, who I call culture vulture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, now this is a cool couple ever since the whole entire thing with her smashing on letting a black man smash. But it's just
Right.
It proves how low people in this society don't respect themselves and how they don't respect others.
Absolutely.
And this is the whole entire point. And that Adam 22 would just try to find some type of like middle ground by saying, yeah, it happened. So who else is up that wants to smash my wife? You just made your woman look like a prostitute, bro.
Right.
She is.
So you don't care.
They're doing it.
She is.
Yeah, he's a pimp and she's a prostitute because they're doing it for clicks of views. Like, yeah, this is the trend of the Western society. It's just the degeneracy, and it's just I don't understand. I don't get it. This is why.
It's like that whole cut
men
culture.
And kids are looking at Andrew Tate and going, yeah, like they inherently like, I don't want to do that. Like, and this guy going, yeah, no, this is stupid, this is degenerate. Why would I do that? And
Right.
again, they still call him the villain.
Right.
Tate's
Right.
the villain. And
Right.
like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Why the hell would I do that? That's
But you know what they'll do? They'll pick and choose and they'll say, well, in that case, he might have been right, but Andrew said this. You can't win.
Can't win.
it's really important for you to say, but you're not the same person. I mean, how did you?
yeah,
Even reflecting on it, it
Yeah.
makes it so disgusting. He offered you his wife.
it is pretty disgusting, and it's also pretty misogynistic because he didn't ask her; he
No.
offered her. I felt sorry for her, so I was very measured with my conversation with them because I felt sorry for her. I could tell she was nervous. She was swinging on the chair back and forth. She didn't want to be there. She felt extremely nervous, and I think that only a coward would berate a very nervous, very scared woman. Even if she did something which I personally disagree with, even if I think Adam is personally, he doesn't align with my morals, because she was so nervous and because she was so almost afraid she looked. And I think she expected me to go at her hard. So I just felt sorry doing it. I just didn't, I couldn't find, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but I thought, I think she knows what I think, and I think she knows what the world thinks. And I think if I go at her too hard, it's just going to break her. And I don't really like the idea of her, you know, turning off the camera and bawling her eyes out. I think that God will teach her the lessons she needs to learn from her experience, both positive and negative. And I think that's God's job to do and not necessarily mine. But yeah, it was certainly uncomfortable, and it shows how degenerate the world is becoming. And pornography as a whole is simply just, I think it's an effect. I think it's a tool which is used to ensure that the male populace stays as docile as possible. I don't think that any of the things that are happening to the male population are accidental. I think that keeping us as docile as possible is very interesting for the people who are in charge of the world, because we're the warrior class. At the end of the day, it's going to boil down to the men who are going to stand up and actually do something about anything at some point in time. So I think they like the idea of us being docile. And
I'm gonna pause that. That sentence right there hurts fifis, because it hurts mad fifis. But bro, China attacks tomorrow. Everybody gonna be a trad wife.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you can mention it, you can say it, then you're gonna have the triggering effect. It's gonna happen, and you know.
Yeah, they fall on the ground, start shaking, and all that.
Not even that. You have so much. I mean, all the weak men, they're not. I mean, what they're gonna do? They're happily gonna go submit to whoever attacked happily. You know, they think it. You know, oh.
They're hiding with the men, with the women and children.
Yeah. Well, they act, sound, and look like women already.
Oh yeah.
You know, and boys and guys and men, they don't want to. They see that, like, I do not want to look like him. I don't want to act like him. They see somebody like Andrew Tate. It's like, oh, yeah, I want to be strong. All men inherently want to be strong. You know, it's just how we are.
It's an inherent desire that's taught out of us.
And it seems like the weaker you are as a man, the more you almost force yourself to become, you know, like the poor liberals. You know, it's like, oh, because it's, you know, you don't want to be around. You know you're weak, so you don't want to be around, you know, strong men. You don't want to become strong yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, this is also still the programming that I always say is the how I say the I don't even want to just say the emasculation of man, but that is something that I would fit in, right? So the thing about it is, with someone like Andrew Tate, like, one thing that I've seen that I don't really agree with is that trying to dictate what job makes you a man. I don't think I believe in that, because the thing about it is, as long as you take yourself seriously and you trying to build your own empire, that's the only thing that matters.
Agreed.
So my thing about it is, the problem with a lot of these men of today, and I'm like, even myself, like, I'm not going to even throw myself to be a bad one, but I'm always willing to learn, right? The problem with men today is that they don't want to do the certain things that's just like, yo, this is requires a man. When you see a man with his girlfriend and you see her changing attire and this dude is just sitting on his phone, that's a problem for me.
That's a problem for me.
That's something that I don't like. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not the most smart in cars. I mean, I live in the city. I take the subway and bus everywhere, the Lyft or Uber or something like that. That's what I usually do. But if you ask Bronsberg, hey, yo, I need help changing this tire, you best believe I'll spend 4 or 5 hours if I need to on YouTube DIY how to change a tire. And we'll go over it. You know what I'm saying? It even do the same things if my grandfather was alive and he was a mechanic. So the problem is that the men of today is just getting too entangled with trying to stoop down into the woman's level, as well as thinking that, you know, if I say these certain things or I do these certain things, it is what it is. This is just how I roll. And then don't forget about how you got a lot of the boys that's becoming feminine or needs to be able to get into this whole entire liberalism crap and really forget who they are as a man and how you should just stand as a man. It doesn't, and this is nothing. I'm going to finish with this.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of dudes always feel like they're insecure with not having the biggest muscles or being over 6 feet and this, that, and the third. You should never, ever make society make you feel like, oh, because I'm not tall enough or I'm not muscular enough, I'm not man. You're always going to be man. It's just the fact of the matter, what you put into your universe about how you're a go-getter and that you're diligent is the thing that makes you man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How you are in your frame is how you're going to be for your life. But it's all about improving your station in life. It's all about improving yourself, improving your career, improving your knowledge.
Well, and
Facts.
I've talked to many men, and it's like everything seems to so it's about learning something or improving yourself. Like, oh, it's so much work. I'm like, life is work. You know, they rather just sit down and do nothing, right? You know, just watch porn and play video games. You know, that's, you know, it's comfort. You know, that pursuit of comfort. You know,
Yeah,
you know,
but the pursuit, and like you said, the pursuit of excellence, though, is work, us improving ourselves. And he'll talk about this very, very thing that Bronzebird started cooking on. He'll talk about this. And it's like, you know, people don't excel. What are you excellent? What was the last thing that, and that's a question to ask yourself. It's a question I ask myself, but I have an answer. What was the last thing I excelled at? I excelled at fixing my health situation. Dude told me, yo, your cholesterol's off the chain. I got one parent that had 2 strokes. I got another parent that had a triple bypass. Come on, bro. I got to change my entire life to dodge that bullet on both sides of my genetics. I got to excel at something. Drop my cholesterol by 50%. Lost 26 pounds. Working on building strength. Come on, man. We got to cut the games, and it's all about that work. Exactly as you said.
I mean, how much more docile can you get than a man sitting there looking at a screen, not even want to reproduce for real because he's just staring at a screen? And I think that's just the next stage in the slave mind.
And it's everywhere now. Whereas, and this is something that my husband says, he doesn't have any social media because he's like, Instagram is pornography. I open my Instagram and I've got Emily Ratajkowski's butt cheeks.
Yeah.
And I'm not a man, so I don't have that same biological reaction to seeing it. But I can only imagine how difficult it is for a man when you open an app and you've got Kim Kardashian offering her body to Emily Ratajkowski. Even if you're walking down the street, I've realized even how desensitized I've become to pornography because you see an ad for Gucci and for whatever reason, she's got to be completely naked while she's holding the bag.
I remember in my lifetime, there were music videos that got censored or banned or can only be played after 10 or 11 at night. And if you watch them now, you'd be like,
hey, remember that?
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah.
MTV After Dark? MTV After Dark?
Yes.
BET Late Night.
Remember those days?
BT Late Uncut.
Bro, BET Uncut, bro.
They couldn't show it on TV.
Tip drill. No.
The movie Basic Instinct, not only was it not allowed to be on certain channels, and then when it was censored, censored. I mean, I remember.
Remember the scramble? Remember when you had the scrambler, where your parents had the scrambler, and you had to flip the station real fast, and you get to see like one boobie, and you're like, yeah.
Right? Oh, it was, you know, and it's now. I work at a gas station. Women come in there,
bro.
And I see this tight see-through completely that you could see. It's you could literally see everything.
I got University
everything.
District. I got middle of the city, and I got the suburbs. 3 different grocery stores that are just run-of-the-mill Krogers I can go to, and you see it everywhere. All 3 of them. All 3 of them. You got the college girls down off of here over by Ohio State. You got the other ones down here over in my neighborhood. You got the other ones down here in the suburb, and it don't matter. It don't matter. You got yoga pants. You got everything plus yoga pants, and you got the young ones that got the short shorts.
Yeah, I've seen girls, and I'm like, there's no way. My daughter, she's gonna go to high school, and she understands what I like, how I'm disgusted by that identity, and she doesn't even know, but she's conservative. She doesn't understand why some girls act the way she dresses on it. She won't go out a certain way. I don't ask her or tell her to do that. She just does it on her own because of the influence that I have on her.
Peace to everybody in the chat, by the way. I've been neglecting my family out here. We got Sunkiss, we got Jawad, we got Josh, of course. Brother Josh, thank you for being here, showing up. Miss Queen was here, little sis. She ran away. She'll be back, probably. Who else we have out here? We got some cloud watchers. I'm sure y'all are out there in the bushes watching. Toss a like in the toss a like for the video. Leave a comment. All the usual stuff. Hit up Bronzebird at Bronzebird on YouTube. Hit up Alpha Revert at Alpha Revert on YouTube. All right. Let's continue.
Like it's nothing. It's amazing how quickly it has degenerated. And yeah, absolutely.
And we're all degenerating with it. Like I've realized the fact that I don't have a reaction to seeing the half-naked woman holding a Gucci bag means that I have been desensitized to pornography. And I can only imagine what that does to men.
Oh, completely. And but this is what the powers that be want. They want to make sure that the male populace is as docile as possible. And they do that with a large array of weapons. And they do that with a web of tools. And I believe that I'm the counter to that, which is the reason I ended up attacked in the first place. But unfortunately, when you buy into the slave mind programming, you do not become the kind of man who can easily attract a woman because you're not attractive to females as a whole. So how do you satisfy yourself? You end up sitting there staring at a screen and they convince you that's a good life to live as a man and that's perfectly fine and perfectly normal. And you don't even get to genetically reproduce. I do also, though, and I want
to... And see, that's another one of those extreme statements, and that kind of goes back to what you were saying, Bronze, about the job thing. You know, like you can't just... He paints with a broad... He paints with a broad paintbrush here or there.
To make this clear, I do believe in absolute...
Ooh, my bad, bro. What was that?
A lot of them are stuck in this... What you said with the insults, it becoming more and more insults. I mean, it kind of right.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't know how to... And that is, I mean, I'm inside the men's group and I see it and they're like, oh, how do I stop watching porn? I'm like, you stop.
It's a willpower and like building that, and see, being raised as a child with boundaries, being raised and taught what boundaries are and understanding understanding a punishment. He gets into, where are we at 20-30 minutes in? He gets to the point where he starts talking about how his father disciplined him, and I could relate to that. My father was very liberal with the switch, so, and his belt and an extension cord, and it's not, and I dare somebody to ever come at me and say that my father abused me. To hell with that shit. I'm a man, I'm a boy. I needed to know what pain was and needed to learn that lesson ahead. And these simple lessons that children are not being taught, because Timmy's on timeout right now and he's going to go sit down and he's not going to play Nintendo for 3.7 minutes and all this pansy ass participation bullshit these weirdos have fucking come up with all these years. Everyone's missing lessons. People aren't getting socialized with other children so they know how to fucking act when they turn into adults. People don't know this shit because their parents are shit.
You know, and I have one quick story. I was talking to another supervisor. She's young, she's in her 20s, and she's talking about how she's Mexican, so her parents are Mexican. They're very strict. Since her father was just mean and all this other stuff on it and everything. And I'm like, oh, I thought, really? How he was mean? And then as she was explaining, I'm like, oh, so you had a good father? So no, he was. And I'm like, let's contrast you with other people you see around you. You're in your 20s. You know how to pay bills on it. You have your own money. You're already a supervisor on your way to becoming an assistant manager at this store on there. You have goals. You're married. Your husband is, it's like, where do you think all that comes from? You think that just materialized out of thin air like a unicorn or fairies on there? No. You knew what kind of man you wanted. And I'm like, I guarantee you, if you married a man who was strong and military man, he just got out on there. I guarantee. Why do you think you're attracted to that? And then she started crying because it's because of your father. You found traits that you saw in your father, and you married it. You're not married to some pansy ass on it. Like you say to yourself, you don't even know what it's like to take out the trash because your husband does it. You never change out a tire because your husband does it. Your car's being taken care of because your husband does it. Yeah, everything that your dad did, right? And she started crying because she realized, that I told her that men are not here to become friends with their daughters. I'm here to be a father, and that's it.
And to teach her an example of what a man should be, that she should have in her life, that will be there to provide and protect her.
Exactly. And you know what? And now it's like a light bulb right into her head. It's like, You know, it's like, yeah, like I'm not, you know, yeah, I'm strict to my daughter. Sometimes, you know, she for the longest time she thought I was just mean, and now she loves me. She admires me. She understands.
Right.
She's on top of her class,
Right.
on top of her school. She ranks in the top of the district. We're not here to be, you know, we're here to be, you know, role models,
Right.
not to be friends.
Not to be the friends.
Now you could do that when you're old age, and they're like, I'm friends with my parents now because I'm 40 and they're going to be 70 now.
Right. Right.
Yeah. We're true adults.
Now it's time to be adults and be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And half the time too, there's another dynamic here, and I'm going to spiral
Yeah,
for a
that's a
second.
different-
But you have
that's a
that
different dynamic.
you have that dynamic where it's no longer the obey thy mother and thy father, but the mother and father are now under your guard and under your protection.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not self-accountability as a man. I think as a man, everything that happens to you is your fault. Me going to jail was my fault. Me being attacked online was my fault. If all these bad things that happened to me, I will take responsibility for, even if I believe they were unfair or unjust.
Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. What do y'all think about that? I tend to have lived my life that way. Like, okay, cool, my bad. Because even if it was a situation where I've deferred and said, okay, you're not going to understand where you need to be accountable. It's my fault. It's still my fault for allowing myself to interact with that individual up until it got to that point. I should have cut them the fuck off. I should have got the fuck out of Dodge. I'd interacted far too long to where I had to take a fucking loss.
You're a man. We're the leaders. So even my marriage, I got divorced. I told my older daughter, sorry, what am I say? It's my fault. I say no, it is my fault. I was the man. I was the leader. You know, I wasn't. You know, I let go. You know, I didn't understand how to navigate properly. I'm a different man now, but it's my fault. You know, you being raised, it's my. You know, you knowing who to pick and how to pick it is my responsibility. Period. You know, all my bad decisions are all my fault, regardless. It all boils down to me, you know. So now I learn from it and I move on.
And I've had a hard time with that because I always wanted to be like, no, it's your fault. Ah, take your accountability. I didn't have to be there.
Well,
I didn't have to let things get to that point.
If you don't say it's your fault, then you become a victim. Then it's a victim mentality.
There's that too. Yeah, you're right, Sunkissed. Self-introspection is tough, yo.
So Mark, man, these allows you to be into the crutches of yourself to understand how you're going to move forward and powerful more than ever.
Yeah.
Constantly my situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Every I mean, and you know, and I've gone through over the past 365 days, damn near, I've gone through some serious changes in my own personal life, my perspective on the world, starting a podcast, causing, you know, more or less, I caused some waves in my family in some way or another. And it all had to do with building boundaries and introspection. It was all part of my growth.
Yeah, I'm broke. I'm 40. It's my fault. It really is my fault. My income, like it's not. It's just I didn't do what I had to do. That's it.
Yeah. There are definitely shortcomings there where I'm at in my life where I'm like, you know what? Ooh, I shouldn't have maybe not done that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that any man who's going to sit there and say, I'm struggling, he also needs to wake up and understand that if you're going to truly struggle to not click on a website, then you're going to deserve the terrible life you're going to live. And the devil or the matrix or whoever you want to call them are going to fill your life with temptations. They're going to fill your life with easy way outs that they're going to want you to take because the good road is usually the hardest road. And if you're going to continue to fall for them, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences of that. So it's double-edged. It's certainly difficult that pornography is everywhere and men are struggling with it. But to me, what's even more upsetting is that these men don't have enough fortitude and enough mental strength to wake up and say, I'm better than that. Okay. But this is the thing, right? So I'm about to get started, Candace.
Good, get started.
This is the thing. But this is the thing, right? So when you attack a man's mental fortitude on one issue, you attack it on all issues. This is why it's done purposefully.
He's about to
resist
cook.
the slave mind, you need to be able to resist in the first place. How can you resist a slave mind if you have no physicality, you have no willpower, no ability to mentally resist anything? Well, then what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up eating the bugs and watching the porn and sitting in front of your computer. And that's what they want from the people. So I think that it's actually all very interconnected. People come at me with the porn problem, and I get the same thing. Guys say to me all the time, hey, what are you going to do? What should I do? I struggle with pornography. And I say, that's because you have nothing else in your life in order. If you were in good physical condition and you had the money you were supposed to have, and you had the mentality you were supposed to have, you wouldn't need it. So the reason you're so addicted to porn.
Or even, even if he throws things that are arrogant and flagrant, like the money you're supposed to have, what it's supposed to be in your existence, right? Everybody's not going to be I'm not going to be no fucking Andrew Tate. I might be one day a millionaire, but I'm not going to be a Tate. I'm not going to be a Bill Gates. I'm not going to be a Elon. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to be a Steve Harvey, but I'm going to have my set of success and what success looks like to me relative to my vision of my future or what fits in my future, be it, woman, baby carriage, whatever. However that looks, that's what it should be. So it's not. So I think a lot of people get caught up with his broad paintbrush strokes. And I think a lot of people get caught up with statements like this thinking, well, can be like you. It ain't about that, because that's not even realistic to fucking think about, because you still have the dude that is working that job at the gas station, or is working the Subway, or is working at the Red Lobster and still doing classes. Bro, Alpha, look.
I work at the gas station.
I did the Red Lobster circuit, and I fought my ass to get out of that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I deliver for Walmart in my free time while taking my classes on IT and cybersecurity. When you have stuff going on, and I don't have time to sit around a computer and it's haram and I'm doing on it, but you have this, you create discipline in your life. You will easily go, I'm not going to do that. You know what I could do with that time? I could work out, go hit the pool. I could take classes online. I could get that certificate.
Yep.
Hey, I could deliver for Uber Eats. I could deliver for that on it, because if you're, oh man, I don't have the money on it. Okay, you have a job. What else are you doing?
And I'll tell you what, when you're pissed off, work out. When you're depressed, fucking work out. When you got a vice that's kicking in, you want to grab for another fucking beer. You want to do something real fucking stupid. You want to go whatever your whole way that you wrecked your life in the past by doing some dumb shit. Go fucking work out. Go for a walk, take a deep breath, and do something healthy. That shit changes your whole life and whole outlook on everything. I be forgetting why I'm frustrated and mad about stuff sometimes. Like low key, like I got like a million ideas to do podcasts on, and sometimes I'll be working out like I don't even want to do that no more.
and to add to that, fellas, I think that's definitely a good thing, because too many times we look for the cheaper ways out of things instead of dealing with it right there. Something I still struggle with, right? But I've always told myself, if I at least did one thing today, that's better than not doing anything at all. And sometimes you may think to yourself, oh, I didn't do anything today. Sometimes the job is mentally thinking to yourself, what is on your mind that you want to do? Sometimes you need that free day, but don't make it a persistence of saying, oh, well, I'm gonna just watch TV, or I'm gonna watch prawn and stuff like that, and and get one load off. It's like, bro, like them endorphins only give you just a cheap gratification. And so with doing all of that, you might feel like shit afterwards. And why is that? Right. You wasted your whole entire time and wasted yourself in order to achieve what? Some type of cheap happiness. And the problem is with that is, not only are we thinking it's okay to believe like this is what we need to do to feel fine and stuff like that, and you have these dudes that come back like Andrew Tate says, like, or they come to me and say, I have a big problem, Your mental aspect is not in check. You spend all day in the house and you just think the first thing to do is just log into such and such hub or whatever and stuff like that and be like, oh, this is how I need to get off. It's like, nah, bro. I like to do in the morning. I actually came back into it, and it's just like, thank God I'm actually doing this again, doing basic calisthenics and riding my bike. because
There it
that's
is.
what's needed.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to always exercise the mind. If you have the bad habits, you have to now strategize and find out ways to keep yourself and your mind busy.
Right. Absolutely.
Because your brain will turn into mush.
You'll start eating bugs.
Right.
Important is because everything else in your life is a failure. And yeah, it's certainly a complicated issue. It's a difficult one. And this is why they fear male agency so much, because when men truly wake up and decide to be the best versions of themselves, they're hard to control because all these control mechanisms fall by the wayside. They don't want the porn anymore. They don't want the antidepressants anymore. They don't want the garbage anymore. And now you have a whole bunch of men who actually want truth and honor and respect, and they want to live for something. And then what are they going to live for? They're going to want to be brave. They're going to want to do the right thing, regardless of how dangerous it may be for their own personal circumstance. And that sounds like a difficult population to enslave. And that's what's scary.
So how do you reconcile? First off, how long ago was your webcam business?
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it. I think 8 to 9 years ago I stopped. It was a long time ago. It was at the early stages of the internet. And I'll explain it one more time for people. I've explained it already at length, but I'll explain it from the beginning. I had a company. I was fighting at the time. And on a side note, I actually want to make this clear. We talk about things people have done in the past for money. I beat people up for money. I hurt people for money. I don't often tell people this, and I think it's the first interview I've mentioned it in. There's a person who can never walk the same again because he fought me. I've had 87 professional fights, and I did my best to kill people. You're going to sit here and talk about what I did for money. I literally hurt people for money. And so I'm not a perfect person. I'm not sorry for my kickboxing career or my cage fights. I'm not sorry for any of it. I had bare knuckle fights. I'm not sorry for any of them, right? I was a person who had to pay the bills. I lived the life I lived. I used the tools I had. And I ended up opening a webcam company where girls would sit on a laptop and they would talk to guys on the internet for money. That's what they would do. The girls would sit there fully clothed or a bikini. Some of them would paint pictures. Some of them would sing songs. It's very similar to Twitch is now. Twitch is almost more sexual than the sexual websites were back then.
Absolutely.
I helped the girls set up accounts. We worked together.
Bro, you can get on Twitter. You can get on Twitch. You can get on IG. You can see whatever the fuck you want to see.
Facts.
I mean,
even today with live streaming, you have they're going even taking it to World Star. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
World Star Hip Hop is starting to have those streams. You know, I went up there trolling as Brownsford still, but you know, it's very accessible that a lot of people is getting into those camera live stream businesses. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you had that a little bit back, like you know, I remember back in like 08, 09. More specifically 09, like 2010, they had OVO. Like I was like, okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. But I mean now everybody doing it for free, bro. Just giving it away for free. All the goodies.
All for free, yeah.
I helped them become as popular as possible, and everybody made money and everybody was happy. And nobody is complaining about it. Nobody's upset about it. None of the girls who worked for me are upset about it. The government aren't after me for it. It's perfectly legal. Nothing's wrong with it. There's just a whole bunch of people who now think that they can take the moral high ground against me because I previously ran this company. And I think I can anticipate the question you're going to ask. How do I reconcile with the fact that I used to produce pornography or degree pornographic content?
Now men are writing to you like, how do I?
And now men are trying to escape it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. There's a few different ways I can answer that question. I think the first way I'll answer it is if you own a liquor store and an alcoholic comes in and you refuse to sell him alcohol, does he stop being an alcoholic?
Nope.
He just goes and buys from someone else. So that's the cop-out answer. The cop-out is, well, these people who are addicted are always going to be addicted regardless of whether I did it or not.
It was
So that's
bound
the
to happen.
cop-out answer. But the second answer I can give, which I think is more detailed and probably more nuanced, is one, I intimately understand the relationship between men and these websites. I've had and seen men give away their life savings to girls they've never met. I've watched and I've seen it. And I actually think a lot of the insights I give,
we see it every
I
day.
tell the world about the mental health crisis, about men being so constantly lonely, about how important it is to build yourself into a high-value man, about how money alone is not enough. Actually, I explain all these things. A lot of these are lessons from the webcam days. I saw dudes who had a whole bunch of money, no other attributes, and they ended up on these websites spending hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't have anything else. So
see, that's that spiral. You get the gumps, you get the simps, you get the ones that don't have that that don't have the fortitude and agency in their lives to take control of their lives, to work out and make themselves look a little bit better, to put a fresh t-shirt on without a wet water stain in the middle of it during a live roast. To hide the Vaseline on the shelf behind you.
Oh, no, he didn't. You don't smile about it when you get caught. You know what I'm saying?
You got a whole bottle of Vaseline up here on the dresser next to you.
So they say, hey, man, what you doing? You know what I mean? Shout out to the dudes out there. That's also, you know, with the Cash App. So, you know what I mean? That be on like, you know, no, excuse me, the Super Chats. You know, we see on these like panels on YouTube, be like, will you be my wifey?
God.
And it'd be like $100, $150. It's like, nah, man.
Slapping $200 on the table to start every live stream, bro.
Yeah, $200. Hey, wifey. Hey, virtual wifey. Like, nah,
$200 on the table.
Sucker. Like, you see your avatar. Try to make it rain. You try to make it rain on StreamYard, yeah.
It's no different than, you know, going through the strip clubs. That was back in the day. You know.
Yeah, it's just turned digital now. Cash App blowing up. Thousands. You got racks on racks hitting the Cash App.
A lot of important life lessons, and I do my best to try and pass them on to people. But I guess also, and this is the final answer I want to give about this whole subject, is that I do think I can take the question you're asking and reverse engineer it and use it against the people who are trying to attack me for it. My answer to it would be, how do you sit and want to criticize me for being involved in the production of pornography 10 or 11 years ago if you're involved in the consumption of it? Because you're creating a market for it. So anybody who wants to sit and say that I did things wrong, that's fine. You're allowed to throw stones. But if you're in a glass house, if you have ever signed up to an OnlyFans account, if you have Instagram, if you're following these models on Instagram who you don't know, who are showing their tits and ass all day, if you've watched porn, if you fancy or think some beautiful woman on a movie, if you're going to live in lust yourself, and you're funding this entire industry, you're downstream, you're at the bottom of it, how can you then take the moral high ground on the person who's producing it? That doesn't make sense to me. So if you've totally abstained from pornography your entire life and you've never looked at it ever, and you've never been involved with it ever, and you're a perfect person and you want to come along and say what I did was wrong, that's fine. But I don't think most people who are complaining can even say that. I don't think they can. And I will once again state this, and I state this as a matter of almost facts. The level of investigation I've gone under, the level of forensic investigation my life has been submitted to, most people don't understand. Most people have never been through what I've been through. They've not had their entire life forensically analyzed, every word they've ever said, everyone they've ever spoken to, every WhatsApp chat, everything, head to toe by federal agencies for the last 10 years, and the most they come up with is that I ran a webcam company, which I've already admitted to. That's it. Take these people who criticize me and see how many porn websites they've been on. Get their laptops, see the they've Googled, see who they've spoken to. Like, it's all massively hypocritical. I do understand that some people would hear that and go, oh, you know, he's a bad person, etc. I don't think I was a bad person. I never hurt anybody. I think I could have done much worse things. I know many people from my circumstances who did many things worse than what I did. And all in all, I'm not going to sit and pretend I'm sorry for something I'm not sorry for. And I just want to make it clear to the world that, like you said, people come from different backgrounds and people grow and people change, etc. But I also look at the world in a different way. I think that we're all constantly doing our best. I think I'm doing the best I can right now. When I'm 55, I might watch this interview and think I'm an idiot, right? And I think we're all constantly doing our best. And I did the best I could do at the time. And I don't think it makes sense for me to hate past me for doing his best. I just don't think that's a very constructive mindset.
Living a healthy lifestyle can be challenging when you're always on the go. You need simple, manageable routines to make sure that you're getting the vegetables with capsules and the whole team. For limited at me and telling me how people is that. I think it's really important. That's balanceofnature.com, promo code Candace. Yeah, I think it's really important for conservatives, people that identify and say I'm a conservative, to recognize that the people, it's not people that are perfect that are bringing people over to our side. I was not brought over to conservative principles by people preaching at me and telling me how perfect their lives were. It was actually people that were much more broken that led me here, which is fascinating. I got interested in business because of Jay-Z. Yeah. I criticize him all the time now about things that he does. But I got interested, in Kanye West, him doing a Christian album and things of that nature. You need people that are flawed.
You need people that are real. This is the thing. I'm not particularly political. I didn't consider myself particularly political, but it looks like I'm kind of ending up there. And like I said, I'm a realist, which puts me on the conservative side, and I'm not stupid. And I understand very well about the world and propaganda and what they're trying to do to us. So you end up being a conservative by default. But you're a real person if you have flaws. If you want to sit and tell a disadvantaged youth growing up in the south side of Chicago how he's supposed to live his life from your perfectly manicured garden and your white picket fence, you're not going to get through to that person. They don't care what you have to say.
It actually becomes a bit of a turnoff.
Absolutely.
It's like those are things about me that I don't think will ever change, which is why I get your following. I get what people like about you. It's why you say the disenfranchised follow you. And I think it's important for people to understand that. Like, there was no way, like, and I still have no respect for her at all, but it's why I snapped so hard at, like, the Meghan McCains. I'm like, who the hell are you? What have you done in your life that you think I'm going to take advice? What, you've just been someone's daughter? Right? What have you worked for?
Absolutely.
And look at what her daddy's done.
Tell me something that you lived through in your life that was a struggle. You can't. Because your life has been perfect. And so I think it's so foolish to think that I'm going to take a lesson, that I'm more likely to take a lesson from a Meghan McCain, who I don't even think is a conservative. I think she's just a rich girl and got rich in way worse ways than you got rich. What was dad?
Fun fact. Guess who's actually holding or destined to hold most of the wealth? Rich guys don't only have sons.
Daughters.
They don't only have sons. There are a lot of mogul women out here, bro. A lot of women who are moguls off of daddy's money.
Yeah. And the thing about it is like, whether you saying trust fund kids or you just saying regular people of the everyday thing, you must understand that's about passing it through the family. A lot of dudes are still stuck on, they just pass it to the men. No, they pass it to the women too.
Yeah.
They bossed up, taking vacations wherever they want to go and do whatever the hell they want to do, and still got businesses on the side or as their main source of income.
And what's odd is the old money, the established money, that is still women holding on to this.
Mm-hmm.
Who really is the patriarchy? It doesn't exist.
Thank you.
It doesn't whoever they're backing are making the rules. They're still the ones that are putting the money out there backing these people.
It's let it be random ass like red pill conversations all day. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, because the women, and they'd be like, bro, do you know there's some chick that'll buy you right now?
Your entire life.
I low key be like, look, listen, I'll be a sugar baby for free with this bitch, bro. Take me.
Pick me niggas out here. Pick me niggas out here.
I'll be a pick me nigga. Pick me dude. Like, take me. I'll dress up in Gucci for you. Like, what's up? Like, do you want me to wear like silk like briefs? Like, what do you want me to do? I'll be sexy for you, okay? Like, I'll make sure that my facial hair is intact and all that. Take me to dinner.
Tim's and the Gucci briefs, baby. I got you.
Not even Tim's. Put on that loafers like we back in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? With the suede.
Just suede loafers.
I'll get those Cheetos for Banana Republic. Hey, girl. Like, what's up? Hey, boo. Like, what's up? Like,
hey, boo.
I'll take it for what it is. Y'all better stop playing on this gigolo hustle now.
They better, man.
Shit.
It's 2023. They don't know what us single dudes out here doing.
Shit, I'm gonna chill around Soho too in New York.
Right.
What do you mean?
Right. What you mean?
I'm gonna feel like a god when I come out that Coach store.
I'm trying to get the good. I'm trying to get the good coffee too.
Exactly. Cappuccino, Fappuccino, and all that shit. I don't even know how to pronounce those names. Goddamn.
Oh shit.
Daddy doing overseas.
And that's a really amazing point, because we can also look at that, right? Conservatives will sit here and attack me. There are people who are making millions from blowing children to pieces.
Yeah.
Like, let's get the world in perspective here for a second.
But it's cleaners. They didn't get their hands dirty.
Of course.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's why I am never the first to bark. When someone is suddenly assessing someone's entire life, I'm like, look at you are literally built on the backs of dead Iranian children.
Absolutely. And
Wait. I just had an intrusive thought. Well, like a spiral thought. So you seen you seen Dr. Umar lately, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So she flew in to visit Dr. Umar. Candace flew out to go visit Andrew. Huh.
It's like the
No,
X
no, it's like
effect. No. Go there, bro. But no lie though, that shit psyched me out.
She flew all the way to Bucharest. But that's Sukiana. Yeah, bro.
Sukiana is like the biggest fails that I be seeing on the internet.
Bro, like
I need someone to eat my booty while you out here in London.
yeah, bro. Bro, one of the biggest.
And then Dr. Umar met up with her, and I'm just like, yo, Dr. Umar.
You see, he had his whole hand around her waist, though, bro.
Yo, I'm telling you, it's that smile on his face, Mr. Prince of Pan-Africanism. Like, I thought you don't sign up for degenerate behavior, bro. I'm sorry, call a spade a spade. Like, I've never been a connoisseur of Sukiana.
Pray for Sister Sukiana. We must pray for Sister Sukiana. We must pray for Sister.
Run them OnlyFans, brothers and sisters. Run that OnlyFans.
Brothers and sisters, it's Taurus month. Brothers and sisters, it's Taurus month.
Brothers and
sisters, it's Taurus month. That's what I need to tell you right now, brothers and sisters.
As long as it's a queen, brothers and sisters. Like, come on, man. I know you was glad to touch the hair hat, but still, come on, my brother.
Right.
Why you did it, brother? Did you you know what I wonder, C.I.P., no lie?
What?
I wonder if he actually really had a conversation about her about the shit that she does.
How do you even start a dialogue like that?
I don't know. It's like Umar Johnson, because low key I feel like he's an R&B nigga. So it's like in my head, I'm like, he could have just been like, well, you know, young lady, young sister, the way that you came forward when you was out in London, now you know that I don't really particularly astronomically physicality believe in that, but I hope that you can support this mission as I build this 15-year-old school, and that you would be an ambassador and that you would be a teacher for physical education. Brothers and sisters.
You gotta say it 3 times.
Brothers and sisters. Run them OnlyFans.
Oh man. Yeah, it's out of control, and I really wonder. There's no end game there. There's no even utilizing her to correct others. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do they call it? Social nudging. There's no social nudging there on her, using her to nudge anything. No. There's none of that.
I mean, you already knew like something was wrong where she promoted being a tardo. Like, you're twerking on a countertop and just saying like, I think she said something like 3 + 3 = 9. Like, it's cool to be a tardo.
2 + 3
like, that's
is
what
4.
we do. Quick mouse. What's 9 + 10? 21? 21? You stupid. You stupid. Where they at though? What's 9 + 10? 21? 21?
Facts. That's what it be. Oh shit.
And I'm standing up here also, and I want to make this very clear. Like, I've not tried to avoid this judicial process. I've not tried to run away from anything. I'm standing here saying, if I've committed a crime, put me in jail. And if I haven't committed a crime, what can you say I've done? You could argue it was slightly immoral, perhaps. But I also, to a degree, maybe I'm a libertarian. I think if 20 people or 30 people get in a room and they all agree to do something and it makes them happy, then they should be allowed to do it. If nobody's hurt, nobody's upset by it, then they should
Wait a minute. That sounds like a party.
do it. And perhaps that does make you a libertarian. If 30 full-grown men decide to go into a room and be gay, and they want to be gay, then they should be allowed to go be gay. You're 30 men, you're not hurting anybody, it's what you want to do. If you want to wear red t-shirts, wear red t-shirts. If me and my brother had 30 people, we all got together, everyone made money, everyone was happy, who's others to come along and criticize and say people are victims, people are upset, this is wrong, this is bad, etc. So, yeah, you're completely right. It's amazing how people throw stones and how imperfect everybody is, truly. And I think the best thing you can do as a man is obviously learn your lessons from your life and try your best to pass them on. I feel like I'm doing that to the best of my ability. But also, another thing that conservatives is going to blow their minds, is going to really upset them. What they don't understand about, especially the strength of my message, is that to especially the young boys of the world, I'm cool. I'm cool. And I know they think that doesn't matter, but if you want to sit behind a desk and go, the Republican Bill 304, nobody, you're a dork, so no one gives a shit, right? You're a nerd. I've got the...
Absolutely. 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 And see, he hit on this earlier. This is why boys don't need to be preached to. They need structure and instruction and lesson. You know what? There might be a point in school where we hand the boys off. This might be something we need to think about. Where we hand the boys off to one school, we hand the girls off to another school. The boys ain't sitting there just doing all the practical maths and everything. You get a little bit of that. You get the basics for that, and you're off to trade school. You're off to military. You're off to trade school. You're off to some professional training that's just going to give you instruction. Here's your instruction. This is what it is. This is how you're going to go with it. We make our choices. We get to go in whatever direction we want to fucking go. Here's your instruction. This is what it is. Let's fucking be men and get out there and be somebody. All this long, drawn out, it may not be for everybody. Actually, it's not for everybody. I got members of my family that it's not for. They wasn't going to stay in school. They should have hit trade school running. They should have hit trade school. They should have had the opportunity.
We already know it was made to just create, factory workers. That's the whole point of it. It's just they've extended the adolescence to a degree now, and now they're saying you shouldn't in court 18. It's just simply in their 20s because the brain it's not fully functioned. So
yeah.
They keep extending this childhood time, adolescent time.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It's like when you got people in their late 20s who are still trying to find, still calling themselves, oh, I'm still young.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When did you stop being?
We infantilize humanity, and that's some bullshit. This bitch that just fucking kidnapped herself on the fucking, oh, she's a young woman. Oh, that bitch has been able to breed and have motherfucking kids since the time she was 14. She turned 18. She turned 20. She turned 26. That bitch has been ready to be a fucking wife since the time she was 18 in the United States of America. Fuck the dumb shit. She's in her 20s. Talk about she a child. The fuck are they talking about? People infantilize and everything. I'm going to the crib. I'm with my babe. Everything is infantilized. Everything is fucking childlike. Everything is children. Everything is baby this. It's bullshit. And that keeps people young. That keeps people in a mental space of being childlike. And being able to kick the can down the road and push it a little bit further and take a little bit longer. The fuck are people doing?
It slows down the whole entire thing of responsibility and kind of like just coddling it for what it is instead of actually partaking on the behavior. Like, nah, that bitch is guilty. Like, why are we sitting up there playing games with this and you did some stupid shit? I think this was over a fucking man too. Like, bro, like. No, call a spade. But if obviously brothers like us come out here and we say that, then all of a sudden it's, oh, why y'all gotta be so rough? She's just a little girl. Nah, motherfucker. Age of consent is 17 and 18 years old, bro. Like in mad states. So I don't want to hear nothing about she just you did some stupid shit for some cheeses. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
There's places in Africa you have 12-year-old kids who are running households. Like puberty is where adulthood starts scientifically. When you hit puberty, that's where your adulthood is supposed to start. That's where you're supposed to start changing the lever to adulthood, not a time, not a number.
Mm-hmm. And you start the lessons for life. You turn on those soft skills for the home. You turn on the male soft skills for the home. You turn on the female soft skills for the home.
And they want to do it after they're 18 or 21, or it's like, what? I'm like, that's what you have, you have people in their 30s that still don't know how to be an adult.
Some kids
you know?
out here talking about calling each other daddy and ma. I like it when she called me daddy. I mean, I think there's nothing necessary. I mean, time and place, time and place.
But well, it's
But yeah, there's definitely an infantilization
of humanity.
humanity.
Well,
Definitely.
it's a Western thing too, because other places don't. Like, when they're hit puberty, hey, you're starting to turning that lever. Okay, you're now starting to race up to become an adult.
Exactly. Yep.
The big cars and pretty women, and I live the lifestyle. If you want to really capture the youth of today, you need to get some kind of affinity with them. They need to at least want to be you to it.
And gents, I apologize. I'm going to interrupt real quick here. We're 36 in. We're probably just going to run this to an hour. We got a 3-hour deal here with this, plus or minus our chatting, because that always inflates the time. So,
a degree, you need to at least be their hero to a degree. This is where liberalism wins. I don't think a lot of conservatives understand that liberalism's sexy. You do drugs, you run around, you burn stuff. It's cool. You get a party. Because what do conservatives do? Stay home, stay home, stay. It's boring, right? At least what they don't understand is that conservatives will sit there and go, he's a terrible role model because he has all these pretty girls in this fast car and he's a materialistic. That's the reason I can actually help the world. That's the reason young boys will listen to me. You said it yourself, 14, 15-year-old boys, they'll look at my life and go, okay, I want to listen to this guy. They don't want to listen to me if I sit behind a desk and read Republican Bill 308. I don't read that crap. I don't know. And they don't care.
I agree with you. I mean, I think one of the criticisms that I faced was that I care too much about culture on my podcast. I'm like, culture is interesting. Culture is what is changing minds and changing hearts.
100%.
So if you don't want to compete with liberals in the cultural space, then what are we doing this for?
100%.
Right? What do you think the young kids, do you really think that they're, like you said, following a Senate bill that just hit the desk? Or do you think that how you convey that to them and how you're talking about ideas actually matters and culture matters? And it's something that conservatives gave up many years ago.
And they wonder why they lose. And then we call it...
Trump was cultural.
Trump was cultural.
Yeah.
Trump was fake news.
Yeah.
He was Trump.
It was entertaining to watch, entertaining to see. He said some things that needed to be said, but he also didn't care how he said it. It's just, there's a lot of things he did. It's just like, I mean, you may not agree with everything, but I mean, he had his own style. He had his own style.
He's standing on the square.
Yeah. Everybody else sounded the same. That's why, I mean, hey, I was an Andrew Yang fan in Democrat side because, again, he sounded different than anybody else. He was talking differently. He was talking about different ideas that nobody else wanted to talk about. It's just, I mean, that's what kids gravitate to. They don't want to hear the same monotone, thing. They just want to be talked to.
Yes. And they want honesty. That's all I ever wanted as a fucking kid.
Mm-hmm. Was a hero. And to be a hero, you have to be attacked and you have to be an imperfect person. And that's the reality of the world. And culture is super important. And you're right in regards to conservatives giving up. I'm trying to think of conservative culture now. I mean, I like to think that we're making degeneracy unpopular. I like to think that there are some good voices out there that is making God cool again. I actually like to believe the pendulum is swinging. I do believe it. And I see it online. And it's a combination of so many small things coming together almost in perfect timing. But it is cultural. You need a cultural shift that moves away from this insanity. And you're right. If you just want to sit there and just preach, nobody's going to be interested in it. And I also think that especially in the masculine realm, I can't talk for being a woman, but I can talk for being a man. In the masculine realm, we certainly like to see people lead by absolute and utter example. Because traditionally, we would be following our commander or the man we respected into war. So we'd like to know he can at least fight. You like to see he's at least brave. You like to see him lead by example. And I think especially if conservatives want to win the culture war, then they need to lead by example. If you're going to be a conservative preacher and you want to tell men about how they should live their lives, you should be as strong as possible. You should look in shape. You should be big. You should show you're motivated, you're disciplined. You should absolutely, of course, we all have vices, but you should be very disciplined with your outlook. You should make it very clear to the outside world that what you've done wrong, what you haven't done wrong, you should take accountability. I think you need to lead by example. I don't think you can preach to men. I don't think you can preach to young boys. I think that's the reason why they don't do so well in school in general. I don't think that's the reason why they're disenfranchised. I think you need to just lead by example and let them follow. And I feel like I'm kind of doing that.
That's where my idea came from, that part.
Well, it's the saying I thought in my head, because they're being talked to.
Right.
They're not being talked through. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that, when I'm saying talk to, it's like you can go ahead and keep punching them with your words, but you're not allowing the words to resonate with them when you're having a conversation.
Yeah, the approach ain't right.
The approach isn't right. So who wants to be lectured about all these random things like, oh yeah, Bronzebird, life. I don't want to fucking feel like I'm on a street corner or having some random old man with a Bible trying to tell me about like nah, bro. Talk to me about things that's going to be motivational and going to be able to move the pendulum. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the thing that is happening with a lot of the young youth. We be like, we don't want to hear that. I don't want to sit up there and feel like I'm in a classroom, but I'm not in a classroom. You know what I'm saying? That's not how you talk to these young men if you're trying to guide them.
Yeah, and they don't need talked at. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be talked at unless that's what the expectation is, and your ass is in the motherfucking military, and you know that's what you're going to be getting, because the rest of society, being a civvy, you need to be taught how to maneuver this motherfucker. You need to be taught how to maneuver this. You need to be taught about, and you need to have a dialogue or someone who's open for a dialogue who's going to be able to provide you with those ebb and flow moments of, yo, check out my day. Why the fuck this dude come at me like this? Why did this happen? Why didn't I get this done? Why did this happen on time? If you don't have that instruction to help you navigate those little finite points, it becomes this. It's that lesson learned on your own, and it's not necessarily fair when us as elders or when we have elders for them to withhold that kind of information to share with us. So
by just standing up and saying, no, this is who I am and I'm unapologetic for it, and this is what I've done and this is what I intend on doing, and I'm going to try and save the world.
So I want to shift gears here and talk about your dad, because I'm quite fascinated by your dad. He passed recently.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
9 years.
9 years ago. But wow, just wasn't at all what I was expecting. A chess champ, served the country. His name was Emery.
Yeah.
Really interesting to talk about just, I guess, your upbringing with him as this chess champ. How did he get into chess?
Yeah, I do believe I had the best father on the planet. A lot of the things I regurgitate are regurgitated from him. A lot of the things I say, he literally said to me line for line. I believe that he was very morbid in his approach to life, and he wanted me to understand that he will not be here forever, and he wanted me to understand that when he is gone, I had a duty to fulfill. He talked about dying a lot, which I guess is kind of unusual, but he would, even though he was relatively young. He died when he was 58. But he was a chess professional. He was a professional chess player. He was one of the best chess players in the world, and what's most interesting about him is he almost predicted the future absolutely and utterly perfectly. He was talking about the Ukraine-Russia war back in 2013, and he was talking about how the gay people can't have children, so they're going to come for your children. Trust me, that's what they're going to do. The children are next. Like, he would say all these things back like 10 or 11 years ago, and I'd be like, all right, Dad, you're a bit crazy. Calm down. But I guess when you're a chess player, you see the future. And he raised me with absolute accountability, and he certainly raised me and Tristan to be. He understood what the world expects of men, and he raised us to be strong. And even when we were in jail, my mother would call, I'd speak to her on the phone, and she'd say, how are you doing? And I'd say, oh, don't worry. And she would say, yeah, Dad raised you for this. Like, we were always raised to be warriors. So I don't think I could have possibly ever had a better father. I'm going to miss him forever. And I think the best thing I can do is be the best version of myself to give honor and respect to him. And I think that's the best thing.
Where did he pick up chess? It's quite unusual. He's American. He was American.
Yeah.
Black American. I don't know too many Black American chess players, full stop.
Yeah.
Where did he pick up chess?
He taught himself. And he taught himself, and he just read a couple books. I think he read 3 chess books and ended up being one of the best players in the world. And
it's incredible.
It's incredible. But it's actually interesting when you talk about, we were just discussing affinity and how people are imperfect people and how it allows you to actually teach things better. My father, towards the end of his chess career especially, made most of his money teaching chess in inner city schools because he's a big Black guy. So the children would be like, okay, I'll listen to this man. You're right? So it's amazing how affinity is real, and coming from a certain socioeconomic background is real. And, you know, we all talk about how ridiculous racism is, but also to a degree, pattern recognition is real. I look like him. I can be like him. These things are real. So yeah, he did fantastically well in terms of teaching, especially disadvantaged children. And he taught himself, and I wish I had his mind. I'm not nearly as intelligent as he was. I wish I was.
You gotta be real smart to be a good chess player.
You've got to be better than smart. I actually think you go beyond the realm of smart into a, I wouldn't say he was on the spectrum, but you certainly get to a new level of socio interactions. Do you understand? I'd go to chess tournaments when I was a kid, and everybody there would be a world level chess player, and everyone was a bit strange, a little bit. I don't know if it's like that anymore. I see the chess community's now moved online. There's a lot of them playing online, and they seem a lot more normal than the grandmasters I remembered. I remembered old grandmasters, half drunk, ex-KGB, shaking at the board. Yeah, like it was a bit different back then. But yeah, I wish I had his level of intellect. He was certainly the smartest person.
Hold up, did she just have stars in her eyes?
Twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle. Not sprinkle, sprinkle, but twinkle, twinkle.
I've ever known. And even when he died, I got endless emails from people I'd never heard of who just said, I worked with your dad, and I don't think you understand how smart he was.
He served America, yeah?
He served America. He was in the Air Force, and he was a linguist for the CIA. He joined the Air Force and ended up being a linguist for the intelligence.
Yeah, I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. Coming for your sweets, baby.
It's all in the eyes and the mustache, in my opinion. Yeah.
He looked like Carlton.
Yo, he does though.
He does.
Yeah, he
it's
just
not unusual
like,
to be loved by anyone.
Like he does look like on the spread. Like there's something odd, like different about him. Look at that. From that picture, it's like.
Nah, he has that face like, don't fuck with me, but I'm glad I'm here.
Right. I ain't the one. I ain't the one today, son.
So I will take you. I will take your life, just so you know.
Right.
Just so you know.
Right.
I will take your life, and I'll say it with a smile. I'll take your life, you know.
What other languages did he speak?
He spoke Russian, German, Spanish, and English, but officially he was supposed to speak Russian. He assimilated Russian in 2 weeks. I think he holds the Air Force record.
Okay, so he's very smart.
Yeah, super ridiculously smart.
Yeah.
I got an email from somebody when he died, and they said that, I just want to send you an email. You don't know who I am. I was serving with your father in the armed forces. You tell everybody your dad was smart, and they're not going to understand how smart he was. And I want to give you a quick story. I was living with a Russian woman, and I already spoke Russian conversationally when I began the Air Force training to learn Russian. Your father knew nothing, didn't know the alphabet, didn't know nothing. And within 2.5 weeks, he was correcting everybody, including the professor on Russian.
Yeah.
So like he just read the dictionary. I saw my dad sit there and read a dictionary, just read it. And that was it.
Yeah.
It's like photographic memory. Like
he was on a spectrum, something else going on.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
I love doing that.
Andrew Tate was his name, and everyone called him E.T.
Yeah. He was tough on you.
E.T. He was certainly tough on me, and I can't express enough how grateful I am for that. We live in a world now where I'm going to say that my dad hit me when I made a mistake, and everyone's going to lose their minds. And they're going to pretend I was somehow abused and that somehow my childhood was terrible. And I could not if he was come down to earth today, I would shake his hand and say, thank you for absolutely everything you gave me, including discipline, including understanding that in the harsh realities of the real world, there is a line. And if you cross that line, violence appears. That's the unfortunate reality of earth. There's a line, and if you cross it, violence will appear, either from a cop or from a guy on the street or from someone you don't like, or even a friend will turn on you, whatever. There's a line that shouldn't be crossed, and I learned that from a very young age, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm not sitting here saying a kid should be abused. There's a difference between abuse and discipline, of course. Everyone with a brain understands that, but
absolutely,
he was extremely tough on me. And if I could change anything about my childhood, I'd only wish he was tougher, because life's tough, life's hard, and I think that the best thing you can possibly do as a man is prepare for the endless difficulty that's going to come your way. There's no way out as a man. You're either going to have a very difficult life to become somebody important, or you're going to suffer the difficulty of being invisible. What do you want to do? You want to be invisible and just hide and work in Starbucks and never have a girlfriend who truly loves you and nobody care if you live or die? Or do you want to go out there and be top G and be the most famous man in the world and have government agencies trying to lock you up for no reason, putting you in a dungeon? You have to make a choice.
Yeah, I want to go to the dungeon. What do you guys think?
You don't want to go to the dungeon. I've been to jail. You don't want to be in jail.
Nah, man.
You don't want that.
You don't want that shit. You don't want them problems.
Yeah, you don't want them problems. Like
you just relax.
The anxiety of being
settle
around
down.
4 walls and you cannot leave. It's even just by thinking about it, it's like you just. Ugh. I don't think about that anymore.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
It's going to be difficult either way. So I think if you have a son and you're not preparing him for absolute difficulty, you're doing him a disservice. I think that's what has to happen as a man. And I've said this many times before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't think many people understand exactly how competitive the masculine world is. Men are constantly in competition with each other. We always have been. We used to go to war and fight and kill each other. I guess in some places we still do. Maybe that's calmed down a little bit. But in the masculine world of today, everybody is constantly competing for everything. The car that you want, other people want. The woman you want, other people want. The house you want, other people want. You're competing to have all of it. And how do you do that? You do that through status and money and influence and power. It's war. I don't think many women realize that when two men even meet each other for the first time, it's like an unspoken, maybe tiny bit at the back of the mind. There's a tiny analysis of, could I fight this man?
Yes.
Yep.
That's real. It's super
Yep.
real. You go
Every
and say,
single
hello,
time.
hello. He's more than a one-punch issue. That's it. Oh, he's one punch. He's one punch. He's 3 or 4.
Yep.
That's the reality of the masculine
at
world.
work.
because
I'm
we've
like,
evolved.
I could be everybody up here. It's like, all right, all my coworkers. I'm like, none of them can take me. I feel good. And then I walk, I do, and then even when I interact with customers and everything, and someone again irate, I'm like, nope, I'm not. No, this guy, no problem. Like that's what I do, and I see that a lot with some of the supervisors. They get irate with some. We have 2 customers come in. I know, man, they look like. I mean, we're talking Jack. Their body language say that they're always kind of like that, looking for a fight. Like they can't even read, and they get up and they think that they're title at work somehow, and they could get a cop there in 15 minutes. And I'm just like, and I'm looking at them, and they're looking at me like I understand them, and I'm saying, and they're like, all right, and they'll talk to me, and then they'll try to sync of it. I'm like, yo, man, just calm down, man. I'll deal with this, because they understand that I know that they can fuck that one up royally, and they can see that by the way I'm looking at him and looking at them. I'm like, it's like, man, you don't know.
And there's an unspoken, especially when you make eye contact with somebody else who's also sizing up either the situation, sizing up the room, or sizing you up. Once you make that eye contact, y'all know what the fuck is on. Y'all know it's on. Y'all know it's popping. Y'all know what the fuck is going on. There's going to be some kind of confrontation right there.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't even understand. Or it's like they're disconnected from that. It's like, man, I know we're living in a safe country and all that, but things can pop off, and it's like they think they live in this bubble where it's like they're just safe. I'm like, man, no.
I kind of laugh to myself because I always play out like little scenarios, when I go to stores. Like if I walk in like I'm in the AutoZone, right? Like I walk in the AutoZone and I look around and I'll see like the guy behind the counter, and they'll be like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I'm like, "Okay, so he's cool. So I can be a comrade with that guy." But then like you look around and like you see the thug in the corner like looking at the air fresheners. You're like, "Yeah, that dude right there, we'll take him out." And then
Yeah.
I got like whole little scenarios, and it's like I could be judging somebody else completely irrationally, but I've got like a whole scenario set up in my head. Like everybody in the store plays a role. Everybody's gonna do something. Like,
well, at least being in the military, so I was like, okay, what can I do? How can I, if he comes in this way, I do this on it from my experience. Like, how can I proceed? Like, I already like my head. I was like, I know, and just like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, facts. One thing I learned is just a random thought, random knowledge for the day, but something I learned from my cop and military buddies is when you go, like, let's say you go into a restaurant and you find a table, never put your back to the door. Always face the door and know where your exits are. Yep.
Always. Yep. I like to stand where, I see the front where we're coming in, and then I know that's an exit to the right, and I'm already aware. I'm like, okay, like I clear the path for the emergency in the back and everything. I'm like, something pops up, I already know. Like I already know.
Absolutely.
Like they get everybody's getting close. Like I already have 3-4 different escape plans on it. Okay, where can I go?
And if you're with family or little ones, you've already got all that already accounted for.
Yeah, and a lot of men don't think like that anymore. Especially when I'm with my kids, I'm like, man, I'm constantly like, okay, I can grab my little one and this one on there. I'm putting this one on the mat, and I'm like, we're popping smoke.
Look, one of the most basic fundamentals, one of the most basic protection guidelines of being a man. You're walking with a woman down the street. Who stands on the side of the street?
Yeah, the man.
There it is.
If you believe in evolution, but my views are mixed. But we've evolved to be in this position where we're constantly analyzing possible threats, and we're constantly analyzing people who perhaps are on our team or snakes, etc. And I think that not many people understand exactly how brutally competitive the masculine world is. And I think the worst thing you can do for a son is just to raise him in a bubble. My dad, I'll say it here, people lose their minds. My dad used to just randomly push me over. I'd be like 3. You just not hard.
Babies are made out of rubber. It's fair.
Get up, boy. Okay. And mom would be like, "Why are you doing that, son?" He's like, "You get pushed over. That's life." My mom hated that he did that to me. But yeah, I can give him nothing but praise. I'm really so thankful. I had
Real quick,
upbringing I had.
Do you think he's
with him saying that, it reminds me when I was like 2 years old, one of my parents pushed me into a swimming pool. It's still to this day, that story is interesting. You're like, hey, you can't be too scared. You gotta be able to do something. So,
damn.
Shout out to them parents to push me in the swimming pool.
Parents.
Low key, my black ass still can't swim, but it's okay.
I doggy paddle, bro. I just doggy paddle.
I try to get a running start. I mean, I can I can do a little something, like, you know what I mean? Like, you go ahead and wave your arms like those turtles do. Yeah, something like that. I could do that at least. I can kick my legs just a little bit.
Twin.
Shout outs.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? The bird is gonna get there one day. It's gonna be okay.
All right.
I'll be a waterfowl.
He's proud of you.
I'm certain he's proud of me. And it's amazing how much strength I can get from that. It's amazing how much strength you can get from knowing that your ancestors are looking down on you and you're doing your absolute best. I also believe that God can be proud of you when you do your absolute best. And I don't think many people genuinely do their best in the world anymore. When I say do your best, people sit and go, oh yeah, okay. No, when's the last time you actually did your best? Like, I don't train to run marathons, but I know if I gave my best, I could run a marathon right now, first try. If I gave my best, life depending on it. When's the last time people have genuinely given their best to anything? There are people going through the world and going through life today that don't give their best or 100% effort to anything ever. Ever. They can't remember the last time they tried. So when I'm sitting in a dungeon, I'm sitting in a Romanian jail cell, I understand that it is a chance that God has given me and my ancestors are watching for me to do my absolute best and to show to them that I am the man I say I am. You can't become the most famous man in the world for mental resilience and God not test your mental resilience. I think amateur way to view the world, that you can now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience, and God's not going to test it. I think God's going to come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and show my father that I am the man I say I am. And it's amazing how much strength you can draw from that. Because
I think that was a fair divine exchange. For everything he's done in his life, God had to test him a little bit. A little sprinkle.
Because I don't think many men, especially...
You say what now?
Well, that's what Islam teaches. Life is a test.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to be judged by it. The do's, the don'ts, the things you did, the things you didn't do. And that's it. That's what life really is. I think that's where we're getting a lot of that from. Regarding to Islam, but yeah, life really is a test.
He's aligned with Islam too, right?
He's a Muslim. He converted to Islam almost a year ago.
Okay.
Which is why he stopped drinking and the discipline. Islam is really all about discipline, disciplining yourself the entire life. The Quran is a guide for life. There's not a thing that they don't have a what to do for. It's got everything on it. So it's about its entire journey through life and tests, and at the end we will be judged by it, from beginning to end.
Awesome.
Actually understand that even if you don't have the strength to be a hero for yourself, you should have enough discipline and enough honor to want to be a hero for somebody else. And if you have other people you truly respect, you should want to be a hero for them. And I think that's the masculine imperative. If someone's going to attack your wife, that's when you become a hero for her. You have to. What kind of man are you if you're not? And you can apply that to other things. If you apply that to your ancestors, or you apply that to God, or you apply that to your beliefs or your core principles as a man, then you can be a hero anytime you want. So
it's so funny that you say that, because it really does. Everything goes back to biology. I think about this all the time. No matter how much sociology is behind everything, telling men to act like women and women to act like men, at the end of the day, women want a masculine man. And when they don't have a masculine man and they beat their man into submission, they're not attracted to them anymore. When it's a tail in between, it's just not attractive anymore. And I used to maybe think of this boyfriend that I had when you were talking about, just defending the realm, this sort of responsibility that men have. And I remember sitting there realizing that I had to break up with him, because I thought that if somebody burst through the door with a gun, I was going to have to be the one that would have to defend us, because he was just such a flower.
100%.
And it's in society is yet blaring at men to do the opposite. And I
they're trying to confuse us.
This is why I think you have a platform. This is my whole theory that I built in my head about why you have a platform, is because Lena Dunham came before you, right? And I think that for years, men were told to act like sissies. Yep. Men were told to put your tail between your legs. That was the message, the agreed upon message that came with, Hillary Clinton running, the Me Too movement, all of these things where men were basically told that if you have a masculine instinct, you're guilty.
Yep.
And then inevitably, because there is an equilibrium in this world, because there was Lena Dunham's, because there were the Taylor Swifts, because there was the Girl Squads, eventually what would have to happen was that it was going to have to be evened out by someone saying, no, F that, be a man.
Yeah, and I don't feel guilty for being a man, and I don't think any man should.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think that the most annoying thing about all of this is just how genuinely hypocritical it is. Because there's all this feminine movement, and we don't need men, and men don't matter, etc. That's
Music too, men ain't the whole, it's a agreed upon message that men suck.
Absolutely, and it's only in the most favorable possible circumstances where females will say that. And that's what's so disingenuous about it, because as soon as things actually begin to get hard, the closer we get to the realities of life, the closer we get to the unfortunate circumstances of the world, and they exist in many places, the faster you will see people look for traditional masculinity to protect them. So it's not even like it's a genuine belief. That's what's so upsetting about it, is that it's just, I don't know if these people are delusional or if they're deliberately hypocritical. I'm not sure which one it is.
I think they're brainwashed. I think it's a two-prong approach. I think it's the cultural messaging, and also in the education system, they're actively learning that this feminism is what you need to aspire towards. Like when you get out of school, women, you should want to compete with men in climbing the corporate ladder. I actually think there's a mass brainwash that's taking place.
Oh, completely. They want to neuter men. And the way you do that is to empower women to a point where they're now the dominant power, especially in the Western world. I believe we live in a matriarchy. I don't believe it's a patriarchy like we're told it is. Actually,
it's absolutely a matriarchy, because, and I'm just going to touch on this lightly. I'm not going to go into it all deep or anything. Bronze, you can back me on this, and well, both of you guys can.
Got you.
But I mean, look, you've got us in being equals. Okay, we've got equality, and you can compete for my job, and you can compete for my wages, and the wage gap is a myth, but you can compete for my wages. And you can also have a baby, and then you can get all the rights of a woman who has a baby and all the assistance that a woman gets with having a baby, with or without the man. Oh, and then you can ditch the man and get all of the man's money, plus get all the assistance for the baby and the baby's housing and the baby's food and the baby's college and the baby's school assistance and the baby's medical assistance. I'm sorry, where in that equation is there a man program?
Nowhere, man. I mean, even culturally, if you think about it, how it's been, being programmed for how we were, it was always said, da-da-da is a queen, and, treat them right, treat them right, treat them right. And, I'm not trying to be offensive when I say this, and also because my lifestyle has always been, I don't care what your label is. It's not me being disrespectful when I say this. It's like if you're my mom's, if you're my girlfriend, if you're my grandmother or whatever, and it's that and the third, wrong is wrong. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So my thing about it is when you the stupid stuff that especially hoteps would say, black queens and queens this and that third. Like, nah, fam, she's acting like a harlot. Can you not see that? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't bullshit me. And my thing about it is, you see a society where it's prawn upon making the man feel like shit when the men has it harder than women. I don't like to do, and I don't like to do the gender war bullshit and this, that, and the third. But like,
It's not about that. It's not about
let's
that.
really call a spade how it is in this society, yo. Like being downtrodden, and even when you think about statistics, who's more likely to be homeless? Men. What's the programs for men when it comes to being able to at least get Section 8 housing or being able to have some type of money assistance that help you get some type of employment? Limited to none. Why it's so easy you find women shelters before you find men shelters. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Actually believe it's the other way around. I can't think of a single law that benefits men over women, but I can certainly think of some that benefit women over men. I think it's very dangerous to be a man in the world today. I think that if women want to destroy a man, it's extremely easy to do. We can look at my current scenario and situation.
They absolutely can.
Many other men are in the same scenario. I can't think of many examples of a man falsely accusing a woman of something and her losing her entire life, where I can certainly think of ones the other way around. So yeah, they want to turn men.
And this isn't the Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, any of the Steens that be out here doing what they shouldn't be fucking doing in society and breaking normal norms. All right. This is about the bullshit, right? This is about the real deal stuff. This isn't about people who are manipulating and abusing situations and power.
And into eunuchs because their intention is to make us all slaves. And I say that and people, it rolls off my tongue and people just hear it and they don't actually think about what I'm saying.
People's eyes roll when people say shit like that.
Because they want to make us all slaves. I want you to actually understand exactly what I'm saying to you, because at the bottom line of revolution has always been young military age males, and they don't want them to have enough balls or enough forward thinking or even enough care for anything outside of themselves to do something about it. Another thing people don't understand is that a lot of these attacks and a lot of things they're trying to do with the culture, especially, they're trying to inject such innate selfishness inside of people that they don't really care about anything that happens outside of themselves. Because then it's very difficult to give a shit about your community. It's very difficult to have any kind of genuine care about your town or your country or an issue. No, they just want you to be self-absorbed, semi-depressed, because depressed people don't fight that hard, watching porn, living inside of your own mind, convinced that somehow you're oppressed for some reason, on the internet typing tweets. That's what they want you to do. And they're going to try and keep you there. And genuine masculinity, yeah, to a degree it's protective, and to a degree also it has parameters. You can't be a man who doesn't say no. You can't be a man who doesn't have standards for himself and for people around him. I'm got labeled as ultra misogynistic because I believe that a man should have standards in his relationship. I believe a man should avoid dishonest people, male and female. You should avoid, if you're a dishonest person, if you lie, if you're going to deceive me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I was sitting talking on a panel show saying that women who are dishonest and promiscuous are not the kind of woman I'd ever want to associate with. And I was labeled misogynistic for that. So it's crazy how they'll attack you, and they'll attack you so violently and so endlessly and repeat it so many times in a bid to beat your soul down.
And okay, so he's got a sense of, he's got a certain air of gravitas and drama to the way that he expresses things, which is needed in a lot of cases, right? And needed to convey a point. But I'm just going to say this. I have encountered the same exact situation in my family. There are individuals who will beat you down in order to prove their point with no logic behind it and only feeling behind it. We're not going to guess which sex those individuals are, but and that will absolutely, and to this day, continue down that path with no results, no net results in the positive ever. And they continue to act that way. It's very, very real on small scale as well as large scale.
That's what they want, especially from me. I truly believe I'm the #1 prize for them to get. If they can get me to just give up. If we can get Andrew Tate to just give up. Being a man's bad. Come on, Andrew, say it. And it's like, it's dangerous, one thing, but it's actually genuinely also sad. When I analyze the situation in the world we're in today, part of me feels sad that we've ended up in this place where the people who are in charge are so evil and their plans are so heinous and the consequences so dire that they know they can only implement them if they genuinely remove the warrior spirit from every man on the planet.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
And the warrior spirit is really important, and it's something that I speak about a lot, that men need to go be men. Even in capacity of my marriage, my husband needs his guy time. I need my girl time.
Yep.
The masculine and feminine, it's very important. The fact that my husband hunts and shoots and does these things, that's very attractive to me.
Oh no, you can't have your own time in today's world. It's all about her being up in your space and being up in your face, and you ain't doing enough and blah blah blah. God forbid you need a few moments after you get off work to breathe, and hell no, your dinner ain't cooked.
Men can't have their own space.
You can't have your own space.
That's patriarchy,
Misogyny, supremacy.
Absolutely.
Yep.
To know that if the grocery stores faded away, that you could go catch dinner.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That he knows how to skin an animal.
Absolutely.
And they poison that. Look at the hunters. Look at the way they view hunters. They look at people in the South.
Yep.
This is why they know how to ranch. They know how to farm. They know how to survive on their own, which is why they start to poison that mentality, which is why I think it's really important that you're speaking to young men about why it is okay to be a man, giving them permission to be a man in a capacity that I can't give them that permission. In the same way that I try to give women the position to know that don't allow them to delude you to believing that this is femininity. It is not femininity, Lena, to have your husband offer your body to another man on camera. That's the poisoning. They teach women that this is sexual freedom, that this is sexual liberation. Yeah. I looked at that and I saw a slave relationship. I saw a master
bodies.
Offering his slave
freedom
to another person because he was just so. I just love Andrew Tate. Would you like to see with my wife? I would be okay with that. That is horrific. That is not femininity. That is not masculinity.
Correct.
That is the craziest thing.
That's idolatry.
That is ridiculous. I didn't even know that was thing. I see. Okay, I stay away from everything. I stay away from everything. I don't have no social media, nothing. I don't indulge in any of that. And I saw that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, and she was like, and she was just like, oh yeah, don't pet. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this is like some crazy stuff.
I can't even quantify wanting to share the woman that I love with another. I can't even.
I don't think he loves. I don't think there's any love now. I don't know what's going on there.
But I mean, they agreed to it, man. Like it's as sad as it is, you know.
It's just a pimp and a prostitute getting married. So
I mean how I see it, Adam. Like regardless of what I think of Adam 22, like because I already think, like I said, I believe he's a culture vulture and he's a weirdo. But the thing about it is, you know, if he stands on his own 2 feet and understood that he dealt with a porn star, then that's him and his business. Just like I've always argued, just for an example, how much I thought that I don't like Kanye West is an idiot for sitting up there getting with Kim Kardashian. That's his fucking business. She was taking dick from many dudes.
Right.
And got famous for it. Right. But I said, Kanye, that's on you. So now I don't cry. Well, he don't care now. He married. But it's like back then you made your bed and you sleep in it. So if you know your woman is promiscuous and her shit is out there, then it's like who I'm not going to try to have an opinion on it. I'm probably going to call it the W word. But at the end of the day, my thing is you chose that. So it is what it is. And the thing about it is you make her look uncomfortable by sitting up there offering your wife to another man on some cuck shit. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, that's you and your business, man. How you going to make out with your girl when she just sat up there was SMDing and you sitting there kissing that afterwards? You saw it on video.
Right.
Okay, bro, go ahead with that shit.
Right.
Wow, this just gets weirder. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Man, I guess I'm
just being raw.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I didn't know that was going on. Like again, I don't know him. This is the first time I've seen that guy.
Adam 12, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what that guy is. I didn't know who. I guess I mean, for him to be in that panel, I guess he's got to be pretty big, on the tubes. But I'm like, this is some like crazy stuff. I'm happy that I've distanced myself from all of that. That's just cancer to me. That's all cancer.
It is. It's moral cancer. It's ridiculous. All right, a few more minutes here, gents, and we're going to shut it down, get some final thoughts out there, and continue with a part 2 and probably a part 3 because, you know, we got a lot to rap about and cook on as we go through this.
Right there. And I think that's probably one of the most misogynistic things that have happened on the internet in recent times, but perhaps they're on the right side of the political spectrum. I don't know which side they're on, but if they're on the correct side, you seem to get away with things.
As you all know, faith is an essential part of my life. My family is always looking for ways to deepen our faith and to grow closer to God, and that usually...
Actually, tell you what.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. I tell you what, we gonna get out of here. We had 55, 30, 55, 35, 55, 35. I think we got a good bit covered.
Yeah.
I think let's shut this down real quick. Give me 1 second. Gonna do a little doop. And get rid of that. And cool. So what we're gonna do is
begins with
oops,
prayer.
Candace, shush.
Shut your goddamn mouth.
Damn it, shut up, Candace. All right, fellas. So there's the first part. What we think? What are our thoughts?
It's a pretty good. That's a good interview. I've never seen it, so it's a good interview. I mean, Candace Owens is a professional. She knows how to do interviews. She's really good at what she does.
Yep.
And yeah, I still believe that Islam fixes everything. So I'm like, so I'm just like, hey, prayer 5 times a day will fix a lot of things. You know.
Yeah. Bronze.
Oh, I love this interview. I seen, people make their like commentary, or I guess by their thumbnails, what they thought about it, and kind of alluding to the fact that Candace Owens and Andrew Tate are losers, low key. But I was just like, in order to get a perspective of things, you always just got to sit down and watch people's different point of views.
Yes.
Even if you disagree with it,
yes,
it's mainly one of the sort of things you should do in order to develop a very informed opinion before you sit out there and judge and be like, I ain't watching that interview, ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't view Andrew Tate. I don't say that there's much wrong with the things that he says. He says some things I'm just like, whoa, Andrew, like I don't really agree with that. But I think there's some good stuff, right? And Candace, same thing. I don't like everything she says, but she says some things that's definitely like noteworthy. So great interview, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, and look at the latecomer. We got Mountain Chad joining us.
Oh, Mountain Chad.
All late.
Shame on you.
No. But I mean, Candace Owens is very good at what she does. Like every interview, I've seen a couple of her interviews, and she knows what she's doing. She knows how to steer an interview really well. And Andrew Tate, I mean, you can say whatever you want about him. He's very articulate. He knows how to express himself very well on there. So it leaves. It's just got 2 really good people sitting down and talking, which is it's good because on his usual interviews, there's always one person who doesn't want him to finish speaking.
Yes.
They always have like an agenda, and this one's more of a, talk. And then I might comment on something that you have to say. It's actually a conversation. There's 2 people come. She said, "Oh, this is what I think. What do you think?" When you have that, "What do you think?" that changes an interview around, because they never want to know what each other think. It's always like, this is my agenda. This is what I'm trying to push, and I'm going to, win. Nobody's trying to win anything there. They're just trying to literally just find out, hey, what do you think? Or what are you trying to, what do you think about this? And how, how can I either agree or disagree on it?
Absolutely. I agree. And I definitely agree with what Bron said before. I did not have a favorable overall view of either one of them. Eat the chicken, throw away the bone. Just very small pieces and parts of chicken nuggets was all I was consuming from both of them. Key pieces, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot that, and this is now the fourth time I've listened to the first hour of this up until this point in the interview. And it would take a lot for me to say I hate Andrew. Is he a loser? Does he have some issues? Yeah. Does Candace have a whole bunch of issues? Yeah. Is she a good interviewer, though? Abso-fucking-lutely. She's a great interviewer. But that's all I got. I think that I think I've made my piece during the interview about some of my key ideas. We have a latecomer to the panel. Mountain Chad.
Hola.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I watched the interview last night. I actually thought it was very good. I think Candace Owens does good work. She's obviously politically biased, but I have an inherent trust in people who are obviously biased, which is one of the ironies about Andrew Tate. It's like I was never under the impression that he was a good man.
Right.
But, you know, what does that really mean? Who am I to judge him?
Life is ugly. Humanity is ugly. We're messy.
Exactly. Well, I also saw him talk about, it was maybe in the Candace interview where he was like, look, I was broke, my brother was broke, and we did what we felt like we had to do to make money. It's like there's a understandable quality in that. And who knows that if he's actually guilty of all the things he's being accused of. From the videos I've seen from the horse's mouth, it sounds like he's definitely a bad employer. It definitely sounds like he steals his employees' money.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I've heard him outright admit to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, again, it's like, I've seen Walmart used to do that. Walmart got sued for stealing, money and all this other, like, I think a lot of things that he's already like a bad employer. I'm like, Amazon is a bad employer, but nobody cares. It's like Amazon is absolutely a
100%.
Walmart is a horrible employer.
Yep.
CVS was ranked as the top 5 worst companies to work for every year and still is.
Yeah, I think wage theft is the number one dollar in terms of dollar value. I think it's the number one type of theft in the country.
Yeah, so it's
is
like
employers stealing people's money, stealing their employees' wages.
And it's like, okay, it's like nobody, and so it's like you see a bad employer, like, okay, and then what is a good person? It's like, I mean, that whole, he's not a good guy. It's like, what is a good guy? I'm like,
exactly
right.
I've been told I'm not a good guy many times,
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've had the exact same experience. I guarantee that if I guarantee I could put together 20 people who will tell you I'm a saint, and I could put together 20 people who will tell you that I'm the devil.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. So I was obviously not privy on law in terms of like international trafficking law, but I had no idea the bounds for trafficking were so loose and so vague. It sounds like just lying to these women constitutes trafficking. That's insane to me.
Wait,
Yeah,
so you mean misleading a grown adult that makes an informed or a understood to be informed decision is trafficking?
I mean, apparently, because it sounds like trafficking requires one of a couple of things, but one of those things is deception. So
it's and what I've seen, and they're talking about it from other like lawyer channels, it really is a very extremely loose subject on it, and so broad into interpretation that it'll be on how well either the defense or the prosecuting can assemble a case on it. It's a man
who by being deceived by a woman and told to move across the nation trafficked.
Of course not. Men, nothing bad can ever happen to a man without it being entirely his fault. Don't you know that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that tonight. It is always my fault.
Yes.
I chose poorly.
Presumption of guilt.
Yeah,
but you're a man. You should have known better.
Right.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, you should have. Yeah, all men should know better. Women, on the other hand, are all victims all the time, 100% of the time, no matter what.
Well, are they princesses or victims?
Both.
Well, the princess is always she's a victim. She's trapped in her palace by the king.
Exactly.
Right? She's forced to marry Prince Charming and then go live in his castle.
Yes. And without having to work and having like servants and stuff. Like that's
Oh my
disgusting.
God.
She should be out plowing fields and starving to death and dying at the age of 19.
Killing her prey by
skin
hand.
cancer.
Some random rare disease.
a rare foot disease from a splinter.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
From an infection from a cut in the finger. That's freedom.
It sounds like a threat, bro.
You stepped on one twig, dead.
Yeah. Or got infected. That foot is coming off.
Yeah, you get one drop of unclean water. Oh, I accidentally mixed some water into my whiskey and now I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why does my stomach hurt? Oh, I'm throwing up. I can't eat anything. Well, I'm gonna die in 3 days.
They don't even call it. They call it a rare disease. Like you got the goober disease, yo.
They didn't have a name for it.
They don't have a name. They put it on this goober. Your feet start looking weird. They got freckles on it.
I take offense to that.
Please let watch it.
Where is this going to? What?
Hey, shit. I take offense to that. I got freckles.
got a nursing rhymes book right after that, yo. It was inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of dark. Some of those nursing rhymes just yeah.
Hotel book about that shit. I gotta stop. Oh my god.
Oh, y'all. So we can shut it down. We can call it quits for the evening. I don't have anything else to chat about unless you guys want to hang out.
I got a call.
Cool.
Thank you, Twin. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I gotta get your name right. What's your name, bro?
Alpha.
So I get it right.
Alpha Revert.
Alpha Revert, yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
That's my channel
Alpha.
name.
Yeah. Good chatting up with you, Mountain Chad. Let's
Yourself as well.
Yeah, man. Let's all have a part 2 to this. This is a great
Yes.
convo. Let's
Yeah,
do it
hell yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and set
Yeah.
it up. We'll
for
chat
sure.
offline. We'll get it all synced up,
Mm-hmm.
and then
And
probably do a part 3 too.
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
part 2 and part 3 would be dope.
This is a very good interview. I'm actually now looking forward to the other parts. I've never seen it, and I'm not gonna go see it.
I haven't gone any further than this.
Yeah,
So
I want to see what
Nah.
I want to see what they talk about. This is kind of
It's interesting already. Shout outs to the chat. Shout outs to everybody who came through. I'm going to drop down.
all right,
Peace.
brother. Thank you, Twin,
Peace,
for
man.
stopping by.
Peace.
Peace, Twin.
Assalamu
Peace
alaikum.
all. Alaikum salam. Peace.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have Twin on. For the folks out there in YouTube land, at Bronze Bird, BronzeBird, at Bronze Bird. He does a lot of lives. He's got a lot of philosophical stuff and a lot of just social commentary, like myself.
And at Mountain Chad, it's channel blowing up. Over
Oh,
2,000
God.
subscribers and climbing.
Just hit 2,100.
Absolutely.
Next stop, 5 million.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Doing
Watch
great.
out.
I want
Is-
Mr. Beast to ask me for advice. And Mr. Beast can be like, how'd you do it?
He's got an awesome interview with Sterling Cooper.
Yeah.
You guys should check it out.
Yep.
Yes.
At
That is
Mountain
a
Chad.
beautiful interview.
He's got some really, really good relationship talk, really good content. All
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
all parts of the spectrum regarding relationships and male-female interactions.
That's right. But especially when it comes to the bedroom. And if you want any specific advice on bedroom activities, you can find me over on the app Minect, where you can pay a small amount of money to speak to me directly and ask me any questions, though I advise that you keep your questions concise so I can help you most effectively.
Absolutely.
So-
And that's at Mountain Chad here on YouTube. And you can find all his socials and connections from there.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, sir.
Oh, he's also an author. So you will find his book highlighted
That's
there.
right.
Yep.
Seeking Squalor, toilet umbrellas and champagne chandeliers on Amazon. I gotta get better at plugging all my stuff. I got all this shit to plug.
We all do, and I'm always forgetting.
You got way too much stuff to plug. It's like you have a whole day of just plugging.
For real.
Yeah. All right, Alpha.
But thanks for having me on, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, thank you for being
Hopefully
here.
you show up for part 2.
Yeah.
I absolutely will. When would you be playing that part 2?
I'm thinking what's today? Monday. I'm thinking Wednesday.
Sounds good to me, man.
I'm thinking Wednesday. We'll chat.
Yep. Alrighty.
Beautiful.
I'll be there.
Awesome. Any last words, Alpha?
Invite everybody to Islam. It's the way of life. So read the Quran, pray 5 times a day. It will change your life. And I pray that, God guides and protects all of us.
Awesome. To everybody out there, thank you for joining me tonight. Look for an update on my posts. I'll be out there on Facebook as well as YouTube, posting when the next episodes are coming. To my audio only listeners, as always, you'll be getting this late, but if you have the time, stop by the YouTube. You'll get the full experience over here. Otherwise, everyone have a good evening. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat. Thank you for everybody who was here on the panel this evening. Big up yourselves. Enjoy the music. Have a good evening.
Talking about flipping birds, but don't know how many grams in it. You a shooter, but you never ever killed nothing. These silly motherfuckers always gotta stay frontin'. If I get it, then I talk it and I live it. And jealous rappers always acting like women. Never worried about a hater, man. I love you niggas. I ain't beefing with nobody, rather come up with you. I'm the gas in the middle of the swisher. On your ass for that cash, I'ma get you. Been blessed, no stress, man. I'm good, nigga. Don't test, I'm a mess. I really pull triggers, but only if I have to. I don't wanna be the bad dude. Why you steady acting like you really gangsta? Bosses making moves, just learn the game, bruh. Everybody gangsta nowadays. Just wanna be the bad guy. Wanna be the bad guy. The real goons come your way. Till they come your way. Wanna be the good guy. Wanna be the good guy. Everybody gangsta nowadays. Just wanna be the bad guy. Wanna be the bad guy. The real goons come your way. Till they come your way. Wanna be the good guy. Wanna be the good guy.
I ain't lucky, real shit don't interrupt me. These niggas ain't shooters, they feel safe for playing rugby. But that ain't the point, this one calls for a joint. This life is a gamble, two-sided, good or bad, flip the coin. Ain't you glad that the odds on your side? Don't be mad, that negative shit whack, let me bring it back. That negative shit whack, hit them hard like crack. If crazy, take a vacate, just know I'm coming back. Sharper than attack, what you think of that? Check a GMB step, we all want the cheese, but ain't none of us a rat. Would you believe me if I told you I'm a crack baby? That shit happen every day, not just back in the 80s. Thinking about sunny days that done turn shady. God been looking out, cause to this day I got no babies. And probably never will, cause nowadays they don't want ladies. No competition, I'm biting down like I got rabies. No, I'm a savage, license to carry, now try to make me think you can touch me, don't try to rush me, I get the bussin'. You watch my back, I watch yours, that's who I got my trust in. And if somebody do dirt, they crib, we bout to bust in.
Everybody gangsta nowadays. Just wanna be the bad guy. Wanna be the bad guy. The real goons come your way.